Family cultivation. My mobile phone traveled through time. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. The Reincarnation of the True Lord. Qingzhou, Qingfeng County, Xiang Mountain. There is a third grade spiritual vein in Xiang Mountain, and most of the Lu family cultivators gather here. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is thin and scattered, and the absorption speed is slow and the efficiency is poor. In the place where the spiritual veins gather, the spiritual energy is rich and the absorption speed is fast. As long as there are certain conditions, the cultivators will manage a spiritual vein as a help for cultivation. On Xiang Mountain, the Lu family's purple mansion ancestor sits here, with a great reputation, suppressing thousands of miles around. Continuous spiritual fields and medicinal gardens are densely spread around. At the foot of the mountain, in a courtyard, Lu Xuanji lay on the bed, looking up at the bright moon in the sky, slightly melancholy, and a little worried, with restlessness and fear in his heart. It seems a little boring. Lu Xuanji sat up, and flipped through a book. The book records some miscellaneous notes about Qingzhou, the distribution of some families, the basic common sense of cultivation, etc., mainly encyclopedic in nature. Tomorrow I will test my spiritual roots, and I will become a dragon or a phoenix tomorrow. Lu Xuanji recalled, his arms trembling slightly. In the previous life, he was just an ordinary person on Blue Star, still contributing to 997, and constantly struggling in the internal circulation. After dying suddenly from working overtime and staying up late, Lu Xuanji traveled through time. It's better not to talk about the things in the previous life. After saying a few bitter tears, Lu Xuanji gradually accepted his identity in this life. Not only Lu Xuanji traveled through time, but also the mobile phone in the previous life. The mobile phone is low on power and is charging. Sensing the mobile phone charging in the sea of consciousness, Lu Xuanji was full of resentment. In this world, you can practice Taoism and live forever. The lifespan of key refining is 120 years. The lifespan of foundation building is 240 years. The lifespan of purple mansion is 480 years. The lifespan of golden pill is 1000 years. The lifespan of yuanying is 2000 years. And the lifespan of Huishan is 5000 years. It is difficult to practice Taoism. At least you have to have spiritual roots. It is difficult to have spiritual roots. Not one person out of 1,000 people may have spiritual roots. The Lu family governs dozens of towns with a population of about 2 million, but the number of cultivators is only a little over 1,000. Of course, the probability of a child born from a monk and a monk having spiritual roots is very high, but it is still a probability of 10 to 1. Every year, some children are sent to the mortal world for foster care, because they do not have spiritual roots after being tested. Although they have a good life, they have no worries about food and clothing, and those with a good background can have 3 wives and 4 concubines. They cannot practice Taoism after all, and the average life expectancy is less than 60 years. If you are tested for 5 spiritual roots, no one will laugh at you for being useless. Although 5 spiritual roots are called useless spiritual roots, they still have spiritual roots, which are above 1,000 people, and their life expectancy is more than 100 years. If you are lucky enough to have a chance encounter, you may be able to change your fate and enter the foundation building period. Tomorrow I will test my spiritual roots. I don't ask for anything else. At least I have 5 spiritual roots. Lu Xuanji muttered in his heart. Novels are novels, and the real world is the real world. Reality is always much crueler than novels. In the novels of the previous life, the foundation building was cannon fodder, and the key training period was not even worthy of cannon fodder, and only the golden elixir could shake. But in fact, although the key training cultivators are considered the bottom, they are also selected from above 1,000 people. Who doesn't call themselves immortal masters when walking in the mortal world? If a cultivator breaks through the foundation building stage, the cultivation family will invite guests and hold a banquet to celebrate. The Lu family is known as the Purple Mansion Immortal Clan, but there are only 23 foundation building cultivators. We are not afraid of starting as a mortal, but we are afraid of not having spiritual roots and becoming immortal. At this moment, footsteps sounded, and a middle-aged man in a green shirt came over, and there was a woman with outstanding appearance beside him, who was the parents of this life. The middle-aged man in the green shirt had bright eyes, simple and elegant clothes, and asked with a smile, "Son, are you worried?" "Worried?" Xuanji smiled bitterly and said, "If I don't have spiritual roots tomorrow, I can only marry 3 wives and 4 concubines in the mortal world, and marry 10 wives. Lumanwan smiled and said, "My son is born with wisdom, he is the reincarnation of the true Lord. He will definitely strive for immortality, and tomorrow's examination of his spiritual roots will definitely not be too bad." "Really? I'm really not the reincarnation of the true Lord." Xuanji smiled bitterly. After reincarnation, because of the memory of the previous life, he is different from ordinary people. When he was half a year old, he could talk and walk. When he was 3 years old, he started to read. A few new words popped out of his mouth from time to time. His father Lumanwan suspected that he was possessed by another body, but after checking, he found that his souls were compatible and there was no possession. There was only one reason, the reincarnation of the true Lord. The true Lord is a powerful being. After the death of a mortal, the soul dissipates, and there is no reincarnation at all. Only the powerful true Lord can enter the reincarnation and live another life. "Xuanji, let mother hug you." After saying that, Xinlan directly hugged Xuanji and held him in her arms. No. Xuanji was a little embarrassed and felt wronged. "Come, mother, kiss me." Xinlan stepped forward and kissed him. "Mom, I have grown up. I can't be like before." Xuanji emphasized. "In another 100 years, you will still be my son, and as a mother, I will hug you if I want." Xinlan said domineeringly. "Daddy, look at mother." Xuanji said aggrievedly. "Stinky boy, I'm too lazy to hug you, be content." Lumanwan smiled. "Daddy, I'm worried." Xuanji said. "Son, I'm not worried." Lumanwan said. "Because you are the reincarnation of a true master, and the reincarnation of a true master will awaken his spiritual roots 100%, without any accidents." Lu Jinwen said firmly. "My son is the reincarnation of a true master. Fortunately, my son has not yet completely awakened his past life memories, and still recognizes him as his father. If he awakens his past life memories, it is hard to say whether he recognizes him as his father. I'm really not the reincarnation of a true master." Xuanji muttered in his heart. This night is destined to be sleepless. The next day, Xuanji woke up early and had a tasteless breakfast. Only his father was calm as always. "Maybe you can awaken the legendary heavenly spiritual roots." His father smiled. "I don't ask for heavenly spiritual roots. I'll be satisfied with 3 spiritual roots." Xuanji smiled bitterly. Heavenly spiritual roots are said to be those that will definitely cultivate to the peak of the golden elixir, as long as they don't die. 1 out of 1,000 people may awaken their spiritual roots. But among 100,000 cultivators who awaken their spiritual roots, there may be one who awakens their heavenly spiritual roots, or even lower. Lined up, a group of children took turns to test their spiritual roots. The first item was to test whether they had spiritual roots. The child put his palm on the stone. Within 4 breaths, if the stone glowed, it had spiritual roots. If it didn't glow, it didn't have spiritual roots. "Come one by one," the family elder said, and more than 3,000 children from nearby villages and towns gathered here. The youngest was 6 years old and the oldest was 10 years old. One by one, they pressed on the stone. Many children had no light and left sadly. Most of them had no light, and only a few had light. When it was Xuanji's turn, Xuanji pressed his palm on the stone for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 7 breaths, but there was still no light. When Xuanji was almost desperate, the stone glowed. "There are spiritual roots." Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. "I have spiritual roots." Most of the children left sadly. Among more than 3,000 children, less than 5 had spiritual roots. Not bad, not bad. There are 5 this year. The elder who was testing nodded and was very happy. Last year, there was nothing. Chapter 2 3 Spiritual Roots. The second level is to test the spiritual root attributes and determine the practice method. The testing location is in a small black room. Enter the small black room one by one, and the elders test the spiritual root attributes. Outsiders are not allowed to be present. Such spiritual root testing can prevent accidents. There was a cultivation family that tested the spiritual roots of its disciples, and a child with a natural spiritual root appeared. Not long after, the news leaked. The next day, the cultivation family was wiped out, and the child with a natural spiritual root was also killed. From then on, the detection of spiritual root attributes was all done in the small black room, and outsiders were not allowed to be present. To prevent thunderstorms. Even if a natural spiritual root appears, it can be disguised as a second spiritual root or a third spiritual root, to protect the child with a natural spiritual root. The small black room has a very fast detection speed. One is tested every 3 minutes, and soon it is Xuanji's turn. Don't be nervous, the elder said. Put your palms on these light balls in turn, representing the 5 spiritual roots of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, as well as the 3 special spiritual roots of wind, thunder, and ice. As long as a certain light ball lights up, it means that it has a certain attribute. The fewer light balls that light up, the better. If only one light ball lights up, it means it is a natural spiritual root or a special spiritual root. 2 light balls light up, it means 2 spiritual roots. 3 light balls light up, it means 3 spiritual roots. 4 light balls light up, it means 4 spiritual roots. 5 light balls light up, it means 5 spiritual roots. For the same spiritual root, because the spiritual root attributes are different, the spiritual root heights are different, and the aptitude is also different. For example, there is a person with 2 spiritual roots, water, and fire attributes, which counteract each other, so it is not as good as 3 spiritual roots. If it is fire, and wood spiritual roots, with wood helping fire, the aptitude is also top among the 2 spiritual roots. And also for the 2 spiritual roots, fire is 9 inches and wood is 1 inch, which is much better than fire is 3 inches and wood is 7 inches. No matter what the attributes of the spiritual roots are, even if it is 5 spiritual roots, it is superior to ordinary people. When the elders talked about the 5 spiritual roots, they did not mean to look down on them. The 5 spiritual roots were also spiritual roots. They could be cultivated, and they could also contribute to the family. The heavenly spiritual root cultivates 1 attribute, and the 5 spiritual roots cultivate 5 attributes. Xuanji asked, isn't it good to cultivate all 5 elements at the same time? To cultivate to the 9th level of key refining, the heavenly spiritual root needs 10 to 20 years, the 2nd spiritual root needs 20 to 30 years, the 3rd spiritual root needs 40 to 50 years, the 4th spiritual root needs 80 to 100 years, and the 5th spiritual root needs at least 200 years, but the lifespan of the key refining period is less than 120 years. It is best to choose to build a foundation before the age of 60, and only the 2nd and 3rd spiritual roots can meet the standard. As for the 4th and 5th spiritual roots, there is little hope. For the same use of foundation building pills, the success rate of the 2nd spiritual root is above the 5th level, the 3rd spiritual root is above the 3rd level, the 4th spiritual root is at the 1st level, and the probability of the 5th spiritual root is 1%. What do you think is the probability of the 5 spiritual roots reaching the foundation building stage? In other words, how much price and how many resources should be paid to make the 5 spiritual roots reach the foundation building stage? The elder explained patiently. Xuanji was speechless. 5 spiritual roots are non-Africans. Resources are limited, and no family has unlimited resources. This also means that resources will be tilted towards the 2nd and 3rd spiritual roots, while the 4th and 5th spiritual roots will be abandoned. The elder continued, there was once a 5th spiritual root who was lucky enough to become a foundation building cultivator. However, the resources he spent were enough to train 10 foundation building cultivators. Even if the 5th spiritual root was lucky enough to build a foundation, it would be difficult to move forward later. The resource consumption is very large, and the gain does not outweigh the loss. Xuanji shook his head, even more speechless. In his previous life, watching Han Pao cultivate immortals, he felt that he was a mortal cultivating immortals, but now it seems that he is cultivating immortals with krypton gold. The resources he spent are several times dozens of times that of cultivators of the same realm. Fortunately, he has the support of the little green bottle, otherwise it would be difficult to build a foundation. I hope you have 3 spiritual roots or 2 spiritual roots, the elder said. Xuanji was also nervous and put his hand on the first light ball. The light ball did not change at all. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief, guaranteeing 4 spiritual roots. Pressing on the wood light ball, the light ball became brighter. After a long time, the light dissipated. The elder narrowed his eyes and smiled. Not bad. Wood spiritual root 9 inches. He pressed on the water light ball. No change. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief again. The 2 light balls did not light up, and the minimum was 3 spiritual roots. He pressed on the fire light ball, and the light flashed. Fire spiritual root is 9 inches. The elder said, your soul is a bit strong. Finally, he pressed on the earth light ball, and the light only flashed. Earth spiritual root is 2 inches. Not bad, not bad. The elder smiled, like a blooming chrysanthemum. 3 types of spiritual roots. Wood spiritual root is 9 inches. Fire spiritual root is 9 inches. Earth spiritual root is 2 inches. The 3 together. Spiritual root is 20 inches. The spiritual root of an average child is only 10 inches, and your soul strength is twice that of an average child. Although you only have 3 spiritual roots, it is comparable to 2 spiritual roots. You are considered a little genius. The cultivation method should be based on fire and wood, supplemented by earth. The old man smiled and wrote a certificate with the results of the spiritual root identification. After receiving the spiritual root identification certificate, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. There was no sudden change, becoming a heavenly spiritual root. There was no loss, becoming a 5 spiritual root. 3 spiritual roots. He was also considered a genius in the family. There is hope for foundation building in the future. Of course, it was just hope. Only heavenly spiritual roots would definitely enter the foundation building stage, and there were many cultivators with 2 or 3 spiritual roots who were stuck at the 9th level of key refining. After walking out of the small dark room and seeing his parents, Xuanji smiled and said, 3 spiritual roots. Haha, my son is a genius. Father Lu Minwen laughed. Let's go home and talk about it. After returning home, Xuanji took out the certificate and handed it over. Father Lu Minwen looked at the certificate and frowned slightly. I'll go to the family library and find a practice method that suits you. Father Lu Minwen left in a hurry. One day later, his father Lu Jinwen sent him a book of exercises and said, this exercise is called Lihuo Yemiju. It contains the 2 attributes of fire and wood. The highest level of cultivation is the initial stage of foundation building. There is no earth attribute. As for the earth system, it can only be abandoned. Thank you, father. Xuanji flipped through the book, feeling a little happy. In the Lu family, the exercises from key refining to foundation building are not valuable, but the resources are valuable. The exercises can be read repeatedly, but the resources are limited. Son, you have to go to class tomorrow. Pay attention. The father reminded. Yes, Xuanji said. After the child's spiritual root is detected, there are special elders who teach literacy, identification of human meridians, various common sense of cultivation, etc., and use various spiritual medicines for medicinal baths, marrow washing, meditation, key sensing, meridian opening, etc. After 3 years of teaching, they began to guide the children to impact the key refining realm. The next day, I arrived at the spiritual academy. There were not many children, only 50. Chapter 3, Immortality begins with farming. 3 years later, in the courtyard, Xuanji was practicing the Lihuo Yemiju. His body was like a magnetic field, absorbing the spiritual energy around him. One after another, spiritual energy flowed through the acupoints and entered the body. It circulated in the acupoints endlessly, and part of it nourished the body and strengthened the body. Part of the spiritual energy was refined, tempering the meridians, entering the danshan, and merging into the cyclone. In the danshan, the first cyclone was formed, which was the first level of key refining. 9 cyclones were the 9th level of key refining. After a while, Xuanji restrained his breath and his breath calmed down. He opened his eyes and got off the bed. It seemed that due to the tempering of spiritual energy, his body tended to mature early. He was only 9 years old, but was 1.6 meters tall, like a little adult. Xuanji tried it, and found that he was very strong, and could easily lift 300 kilograms. In his previous life, he had such strength, and would have been a weightlifting champion, but he was just a newbie in the world of cultivation. There is still some distance to the second level of ki refining. The 3 years of compulsory education have already ended. I don't know if I can join the Danliang sect. Xuanji flashed a trace of doubt. The Danliang sect is a large sect in Kingshao, with 3 giant ancestors in charge. The family is large and powerful, far beyond the Lu family. Many Kingshao cultivators want to become disciples of Danliang. Even if they are just menial disciples, the treatment and benefits are the best. To join the Danliang sect, 3 spiritual roots are the minimum requirement, and there are also quotas. Qingfeng County only has 10 quotas every year. At this time, his mother Yizhenlan came over and said with some regret, "Xuanji, your quota to go to the Danliang sect is gone." "Gone? What happened?" Xuanji asked anxiously. Qingfeng County is in a remote place, and the quota has always been insufficient in the past few years. But this year there are many geniuses, and you didn't make the list. Mother Yizhenlan said, feeling sorry for her son. "Mother, it's not bad to stay at home instead of going to Danliang sect." Xuanji comforted his mother, as the saying goes, it's better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Danliang sect is a big family with a lot of wealth. I can only become an outer disciple at most if I join Danliang sect with my 3 spiritual roots, and I may not be taken seriously. But in the Lu family, 3 spiritual roots are rare, and everyone has high expectations of me. They expect me to become a foundation building disciple and bring honor to the family, so they pay a lot of attention to me. Silly child, the Lu family is not comparable to Danliang sect. The treatment of a menial disciple is worse than that of some elite disciples in our family. Mother Yizhenlan felt sorry for her son. Who would want to stay in the family if they could join a big sect? After all, the family resources are not as good as those of Danliang sect. Just the channels for obtaining foundation building pills are more than those of the Lu family. Xuanji was a little disappointed for not joining Danliang sect. After the disappointment, he calmed down again. Being in the family is actually not bad. The family has more than 1,500 monks, but more than 1,200 of them have 5 spiritual roots, more than 200 have 4 spiritual roots, more than 50 have 3 spiritual roots, and there is no one with 2 spiritual roots. As a monk with 3 spiritual roots, Xuanji is considered to be the best among the group of people, and he will definitely be trained by the family. This is a blessing in disguise. The next day, in the hall, Xuanji met the patriarch of the family, the Purple Mansion patriarch. "Greetings, ancestor," Xuanji said respectfully. The Purple Mansion patriarch smiled and said, "Not bad, not bad. You are very good. Your spiritual roots have the attributes of wood and fire, which makes you suitable to be an alchemist. Alchemists must be familiar with various medicinal properties. This alchemy book is for you. Flip through it more." "Thank you, ancestor." Xuanji took the alchemy book and stood respectfully. It's not easy to cultivate. You should focus on cultivation and enter the late stage of ki refining as soon as possible. Only when you reach the late stage of ki refining can you go out to perform various tasks. As for now, go to the foot of Xiang Mountain and farm. This is your area. Your task is to plant 100 acres of spiritual fields. Your cave is at number 38. The Purple Mansion patriarch arranged. "Thank you, patriarch." Taking the key, Xuanji retreated respectfully. With the key, he went to cave number 38. The cave is very small, less than 10 square meters, but it is a place for cultivation. There is a spiritual cave here, and rich spiritual energy leaks out. Cultivating near the spiritual cave will speed up cultivation. The cave is not only a place to live, but also a right to distribute spiritual energy. Leave here and walk down Xiang Mountain. Within 100 miles of Xiang Mountain, various spiritual rice and spiritual medicine are planted. Some fertilize, some rain spiritual rain, some weed, and some clean up pests. The crops in the spiritual fields are growing vigorously. At a certain location, Xuanji looked at the spiritual fields around him, and the spiritual fields were neatly arranged. He used a hoe to hoe the land, cleared the weeds, and then began to sow spiritual rice in the spiritual field. After the spiritual rice was planted, he pinched the seal and performed the small spiritual rain technique. The spiritual energy around him changed from gas to liquid, and it began to rain. The spiritual rain irrigated the spiritual field and moistened the land. The amount of rain was controlled, and the spiritual rain could not be too much or too little. In this way, he began to be a farmer and started his farming life. The false cultivation of immortals, flying with swords, slaying demons with flying swords, fasting and free, and immortality. The real cultivation of immortals, working hard for 3 meals a day, and struggling to make money, either farming as a farmer, or working as a miner in a mine, or working as a waiter, living a hard life of 996 or 997. The first thing for cultivation of immortals is resources. Where do the resources come from? They are obtained from planting spiritual medicines and spiritual rice, or from operating industries. The spiritual rice planted by the Lu family is mainly Baiyang rice. Baiyang rice is the food of cultivators, which can strengthen the cultivator's qi and blood, and nourish the body. Baiyang rice is also the main material for refining Baiyang pills. Baiyang pills are auxiliary pills for qi refining cultivators, and are very expensive in the market. In the family medicine garden, some of the spiritual medicines planted are used by the family's alchemists to make pills, and some are sold in the market. Planting spiritual rice and spiritual medicines accounts for as much as 6 layers of the family's income. If we don't farm, how long can we survive by fighting and killing? Even if we fight and kill, who can we beat? The nearby cultivation families have paid tribute to the Danliang sect, and are not allowed to start a war easily. The battle between cultivators and the battle between families should not be fought if it is possible. Isn't it nice to farm peacefully? If you lose, your whole family may die. If you win, you must also give compensation. Of course, you cannot give compensation, but who will fight for you next time? If you don't give compensation, you will be happy to stab them at the critical moment. The Lu family's goal is to farm peacefully, then sell Baiyang pills, Baiyang rice, or other spiritual medicines, elixirs, etc., accumulate spiritual stones, and cultivate a second purple mansion patriarch, and then cultivate a few more foundation building monks. As for fighting, it is best not to fight. Chapter 4. My cell phone traveled through time. On Xiang Mountain, there are mainly monks and their families. There are no servants, because there is no need. Every year, the family will issue clean clothes talismans, dust avoidance talismans, and fire talismans. If your clothes are dirty, just wave a talisman on your body and your whole body will be clean, which is cleaner than taking 10 baths. The family's big canteen is full of top quality spiritual medicines and meals, which are better than the imperial banquets. Mortals lack spiritual energy in their bodies, and cannot grow spiritual fields. Only monks have danshan, and can grow spiritual fields. Monks are productivity. Xuanji is only at the first level of qi refining, but he can cultivate 100 acres of spiritual fields in 10 days. Careful care, prevention and control of pests and diseases. While farming, practice. The spiritual fields can continue to expand in scale, but there is no need, because it will delay the time for practice. Practice for 2 hours every day. After the time is up, the meridians will ache, and you have to stop. If you continue to practice, it will hurt the meridians. When you stop, you practice some spells. The first spell is the small spiritual rain spell, which is mainly used for farming. The second spell is the fireball spell, which is mainly used for attack. The third spell is the fire shield spell, which is mainly used for defense. The fourth spell is the wind escape spell, which is mainly used for running. There is no need to learn other spells for the time being. My cultivation is too weak to support powerful spell attacks. 3 months later, the grains in the spiritual field were full and the Baiyang rice was ripe. Xuanji took out a sickle to harvest the rice and put it in the granary. Only cultivators can plant spiritual fields, but mortals cannot. In the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. In the cave, Xuanji opened his eyes, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. He was already at the second level of qi refining. At this time, the mother sensed something and asked curiously, "Son, you have reached the second level of key training." "Yes," Xuanji said. "It takes 5 years to improve one level. The speed is very slow." "Slow? Not at all." Mother Xuanji smiled and said, "At this speed, you can reach the 9th level of key training when you are 50 years old, and this is without auxiliary spiritual pills. If you have auxiliary spiritual medicines, the training speed will be faster. You are just in your early 40s, and you are already at the 9th level of key training. Your training speed is comparable to some weaker second spiritual routes." Xuanji was quite pleased with her son's training speed, but also a little disappointed. If he joined the Danliang sect, the speed would be even faster, and he might have reached the 9th level of key training in his early 20s. The Danliang sect has a 4th grade spiritual vein. Practicing on such a high level spiritual vein, even if you are a Chua's disciple and get spiritual energy, you can quickly upgrade. The Lu family is only a 3rd grade spiritual vein, which seems to be only 1 grade lower, but the difference of 1 grade is huge. But it's still too slow. Xuanji frowned. "My son, don't be too ambitious," the mother comforted. A moment later, Xuanji went down to farm again. He has been farming for 5 years, and he needs to continue farming for more than 20 years, until he reaches the late stage of key refining. Then he can end his farming career, and engage in other family affairs. Not only him, his father, mother, many foundation building cultivators, and even the Purple Mansion ancestor of the family have experienced decades of farming. No one is exempt. For low-level cultivators, growing spiritual rice is the most cost-effective. As for escorting goods, sitting in a place, or doing other things, the strength is too weak, and it is not safe. Another day passed. Lying on the bed, Xuanji felt a little bored. Practice is really boring. If there is a mobile phone, it would be great. Thinking of the mobile phone, Xuanji felt a little itchy in his heart. The mobile phone is fully charged and can be turned on and used. At this moment, Xuanji sensed something, and the next moment, a Xiaomi mobile phone appeared in his hand. Xiaomi mobile phone. He spent 1,500 to buy it in his previous life and used it for 3 years. My novel and all the teachers, here I come. Pressing the power button, a light flashed soon, and the phone was turned on successfully. Flipping the phone, many functions disappeared. The downloaded novel disappeared. Questions also disappeared. All the teachers disappeared. The weather forecast disappeared. The mobile bank disappeared. And the calendar disappeared. The phone has a problem, and the phone is restarting. At this moment, a line of text appeared on the screen. Then, the phone went black. Xuanji waited. Woo woo woo. The phone was changing slightly, absorbing the spiritual energy from the heaven and earth, and it was undergoing amazing changes. Along with the absorption of spiritual energy, the spiritual energy in the spirit cave was sucked dry. As if it was not enough, Xuanji took out 10 more spiritual stones and put them in. Crack, crack. With a violent sound, the spiritual stones turned into powder. Xuanji looked at it with heartache. The income for a year was only 10 spiritual stones, and the income for 5 years was only 50 spiritual stones. After eating 10 pieces, Xiaomi stopped absorbing spiritual energy. But, the phone vibrated, and a voice came. The light on the phone screen flickered as it restarted. After about 5 minutes, when Xuanji was getting impatient, the phone finally restarted, and entered the home page. But looking at it again, it felt wrong. On the screen, there was a blooming lotus, and in the upper right corner there was a battery icon. There was nothing else, no questions, no WeChat, no novels, and all the basic tools disappeared. Is this my phone? Xuanji was speechless. The battery power was increasing, and at the same time, Xuanji felt that his spiritual power was being consumed, which meant that the phone was no longer consuming power, but was losing spiritual energy. The phone only reached 5%, and it would take at least 3 hours to fully charge. The speed was a bit slow. Xuanji was bored, and could only continue to wait. After about 3 hours, the phone was fully charged. Xuanji checked the Xiaomi phone. Under the influence of the laws of the cultivation world, the phone underwent a strange change, and turned into a magic weapon. It was just that the grade was a bit low, only a 1st grade spiritual weapon. Is it connected to the internet globally? Yes or no? After connecting to the world of cultivation, what other networks can be connected? Xuanji was puzzled, but he still pressed yes. At this moment, Xuanji felt a strange change in his phone, as if it was connected to a great existence in the dark. But, at this moment, the ancestor of the Lu family opened his eyes. Who is it? Which Yuanying's engine has descended? The ancestor of the Lu family looked up at the sky, as if he was afraid of something. Just now, he felt that the laws of heaven and earth were agitated. It seemed that there was an supreme being who could pry the laws of heaven and earth, and only Yuanying's engine could do this. But after a while, the laws converged, and everything seemed to return to calm. Could it be that Yuanying's engine just passed by? The ancestor of the Lu family was silent, and continued to practice, as if nothing had happened. Connected successfully. Congratulations on enjoying a good life. At this moment, a line of text appeared on the phone. Later, the screen changed, and two icons appeared. One icon is file management, and the other is deduction of destiny. Only two functions. Rubbish. Xuanji opened his phone and played with it. File management can download pictures, download software, collect massive amounts of information. Destiny deduction can use the collected information to deduce. Xuanji asked, calculate how old I can live. Host, in the key refining stage, can live for 110 years and 9 months. Xuanji frowned. This answer is not perfect, but it is not bad either. Living to 120 years in the key refining stage is just an ideal state. In fact, many key refining stage cultivators die in their 100s and cannot live to the limit. If they are injured in battle, their lifespan will be even shorter. How many years will it take me to become a key refining level 9? Xuanji asked again. Host will become a key refining level 9 at the age of 53. Considering that the host will take some elixirs to assist in cultivation, he will become a key refining level 9 at the age of 42. What is the probability of me becoming a foundation establishment stage? Xuanji asked. The authority has exceeded the destiny deduction and cannot be answered. Can you perfect the practice? Xuanji asked. Yes, it can only be perfected in the key refining stage, and requires a large number of key refining techniques as knowledge reserves, and it will take some time. Xuanji asked again. Confirm the two functions of the mobile phone. File management, can store books, can store 100,000 books. Destiny deduction, can be used to deduce certain things, deducing techniques, but requires a huge amount of information as support, and the deduction content can only be in the key refining stage, and it will take some time. Interesting. Xuanji touched his chin and analyzed. Mobile phones are originally microcomputers with huge computing power. After crossing, mobile phones mutated and evolved into magic weapons, but the core is that the huge computing power still exists. Any function is carried out with huge computing power. Chapter 5 Destiny. In the library, there are 100,000 volumes of books. Some of these books describe the types and appearances of spiritual medicines. Some describe the knowledge of refining instruments. Some describe the knowledge of alchemy. Some describe various miscellaneous news and notes. And some describe some exercises, all of which are scattered in the library. For example, there are 72 techniques for cultivating spiritual plants, and many precautions. There are also 18 recipes for foundation building pills. In one book, there is a detailed description of how to refine foundation building pills. Unfortunately, without a second-grade alchemist and various spiritual medicines, even if you know the formula, you can't refine it. If you really think that you can refine foundation building pills with the recipe, you underestimate the alchemist. Alchemists need the two attributes of wood and fire, as well as strong soul power, and they also need to burn spiritual medicines. Only a few cultivators meet the standards, and only large families are qualified to cultivate them. As for casual cultivators, it is difficult to become an alchemist unless you have unlimited spiritual medicines to squander with the help of a cave. Just like in the previous life, the theory of atomic bomb manufacturing is almost known to everyone. Find nuclear fuel, separate it with a centrifuge, and then load it to explode. But fuel and electricity alone are difficult for many countries, and only a few countries are qualified to manufacture them. The same is true for the recipe of the foundation building pill. Many major forces directly leaked the formula of the foundation building pill in order to let independent cultivators and small families find spiritual medicine for them. If they encounter those young people who enter the ancient ruins and do not know the spiritual medicine and waste the spiritual medicine, it would be a loss. Knowledge is priceless, but useless. From priceless to useless, the key is to see who controls the resources. Entering the library, Xuanji directly skipped here and went directly to the practice area and began to read. The practice books here are very scattered, with about 300 volumes of practice of various attributes. There are also some practices deduced by some foundation building elders, or some practice ideas, etc., as well as some practice notes, etc., which can be read for free without spending contribution points. The content of the practice also stops at the key refining stage, and as for those above the foundation building stage, contribution points are required to obtain. In the library, Xuanji was flipping through the books of cultivation techniques, one after another. His phone was scanning the text, storing it in the document, and then deducing his fate. Destiny deduction. Serving you. Please determine the deduction direction. There are two deduction goals, one is to improve the speed of cultivation, and the other is to perfectly match oneself, with wood and fire as the main and earth as the auxiliary. Xuanji said in his heart. As for combat effectiveness, ignore it for the time being. Destiny deduction in progress. The deduction continues, and it will take 10 days to complete. Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. The deduction time was not long. Then, he carefully flipped through the books and analyzed them. 10 days later, a sound came from the phone. Ding. The destiny deduction is over. The first version of the cultivation technique is deduced. Please name the technique. The name of the technique is Kingian Creation Art. Xuanji said. The technique is being transmitted. At this moment, words appeared on the screen of the mobile phone. The outline of the technique was 500 words, and the content was 3,500 words. There were also specific cultivation steps, cultivation instructions, etc., which were about 30,000 words. It was deduced, based on Xuanji's body, perfectly fits itself. As for other people who get this technique, the effect of cultivation can only be said to be average. When practicing the technique, the path of spiritual energy in the body changes, the meridians that travel, the breathing method, etc. are all different. About half a day later, Xuanji successfully switched to practicing Kingian Creation Art. When practicing this technique, you have to take off your shoes and stand barefoot on the ground, absorbing the spiritual energy of the earth, nourishing wood with soil, and nourishing fire with wood. After only one cycle, Xuanji felt that the speed increased by 20%. Increasing the cultivation by 20% may not seem fast, but accumulating over the years can save a lot of time. Because it perfectly fits itself, the combat effectiveness will also increase accordingly. Not bad, not bad. Xuanji was delighted. At this moment, he saw an old man walking in, and immediately said respectfully, "Meet the ancestor." The old man was Lu Fuming, the ancestor of the purple mansion of the Lu family. Reading a book. Yes. Read well, don't delay your cultivation time, the ancestor said. Xuanji nodded in agreement. Why is the family library open for free? 100 years ago, you had to pay contribution points to enter the library. The ancestor asked, do you know why? Free is the most expensive. If you want to take it, you must first give it. Xuanji said calmly, fishing, you still need to pay bait, not to mention people. This routine was very familiar in the previous life. Refer to a certain pinayan. The ancestor smiled, with a look of relief. You are very smart. 100 years ago, when the library was opened for free, many people did not understand, and I did not understand it at the time. But I still did it, because Danliang sect took the lead, and I could only follow. After opening the free library, the cohesion of the family has improved a lot, and even the cultivation speed has increased a lot. In their spare time, the family cultivators often go to the library to read books and increase their knowledge. Ancestor is wise. It's not me who is wise, but the senior of Danliang sect who is wise. The ancestor seemed to be thinking about something. The first ancestor of the Lu family was named Lu Changsheng. Back then, the first ancestor was just an outer disciple of the Danliang sect. He left the Danliang sect because he failed the assessment, went to Qingfeng County, married 3 female cultivators, and founded the Lu family. It has been 1,000 years since then, with ups and downs. During the most difficult time for the Lu family, there was only one foundation building cultivator in charge, and there were less than 30 cultivators. It was almost reduced to a casual cultivator, but fortunately it survived. The ancestor recalled the past and talked about the 1,000-year history of the family. Over the past 1,000 years, the Lu family had also had miserable moments. The ancestral land was breached, and most cultivators were killed by powerful enemies. Only a few cultivators escaped and then rebuilt with difficulty. It was also glorious in the past. At its most prosperous time, there were 3 Purple Mansion ancestors in charge, one of whom was at the 8th level of Purple Mansion. Talking about the past, it was rough and difficult. Xuanji, how old are you? The ancestor asked. 14 years old. Lu Xuanji said. You awakened your spiritual roots at the age of 6, and reached the 1st level of key refining at the age of 9. You have reached the 2nd level of key refining in just 5 years. This is a good aptitude. The ancestor nodded and said, have you ever taken any auxiliary pills? No. Lu Xuanji said. Even the cheapest Baiyang pills require a spiritual stone to buy 10. You have reached the 2nd level of key refining in just 5 years without taking any auxiliary pills. Although you have 3 spiritual roots, your speed is comparable to that of 2 spiritual roots. The ancestor flashed a trace of surprise and a trace of joy. With only 3 spiritual roots, he has a speed comparable to that of 2 spiritual roots. There are only 2 possibilities. One is outstanding comprehension, and the other is a special physique. The ancestor analyzed, with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Comprehension is not easy to measure. Special physique can only be revealed when you reach the foundation building stage. Take fewer pills during the key refining stage. This will be good for you. All medicines are 3/4 poisonous. There is elixir poison in the elixir. Although cultivators can increase their cultivation speed by taking elixirs, the elixir poison will also settle in the physical body. When breaking through to a greater realm, these elixir poisons will erupt and reduce the probability of breakthrough. Many cultivators fail to break through to the foundation building stage because there are too many elixir poisons settled in their bodies. Chapter 6 Tribute. So that's it. Lu Xuanji understood. He had learned a lot. At this moment, the ancestor sensed something and opened the jade talisman. The monks of the Danliang sect have come to collect the family's tribute. Are you interested in serving tea? I dare not refuse the order of the ancestor. Lu Xuanji said. Leaving the library, he went to the reception room. Serving tea, Lu Xuanji stood respectfully aside. The guest was a 15-year-old boy who was extremely ordinary, but with a pair of bright eyes. He looked extraordinary. Danliang sect, Yi Taizhen greets fellow Taoist. The boy smiled and said, so, it's fellow Taoist of the Tai generation. The ancestor said, the Lu family has 23 people who are building the foundation, and 1 person in the Purple Mansion. The foundation is 100 spirit stones per year, and the Purple Mansion is 1000 spirit stones. After 10 years, the spirit stones are 33,000 spirit stones. Keep it well. As he said that, he handed over a storage bag. Yi Taizhen took the storage bag, opened the pocket, and checked it carefully. It's clear and the account is correct. Goodbye. Yi Taizhen bowed and said goodbye. He left without drinking tea. From the time he appeared to the time he left, it took less than 10 breaths. Are you distressed? The ancestor asked. Distressed. Lu Xuanji said. 33,000 spirit stones are equivalent to 3 foundation building pills. The annual salary of a key training cultivator is between 10 and 50 spirit stones. The annual salary of a foundation building cultivator is only 100 to 500 spirit stones. I'm distressed too, but spending money may not necessarily buy peace, but not spending money will definitely not bring peace. The ancestor said leisurely. Retreat. Yes. Lu Xuanji left respectfully. Life is still the same, simple and repetitive. At the same time, he is thinking about how to increase the per acre yield of Baiyang rice. He mainly farms, and is also called a spirit planting husband. Compared to alchemists who need to spend money, weapon refining masters who need talent, and array masters who need comprehension, the threshold of a spirit planting husband is the lowest. He only needs spirit fields and seeds to farm. But even though they are all farmers, some can grow 200 kilograms of spiritual rice, while others can grow 230 kilograms of spiritual rice. This is the difference between different spiritual farmers. 4 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the cave, Xuanji opened his eyes, and golden light radiated from his eyes, and the empty room was electrified. His body was creaking, making a series of sounds, and his muscles and bones were trembling. The red light flashed, fluctuating and changing. Then the green light was changing. Then the yellow light was changing up and down. Finally, the three-color light of green, yellow, and red kept alternating, constantly fluctuating and rotating. The three-color light fluctuated in the cave, and after half an hour, the breath was restrained and returned to normal. At this time, it was already the third level of key training. It was originally estimated that it would take 5 years to practice the Blue Lotus creation art, deduced by destiny deduction, and 4 years would be enough to enter the third level of key training. Feeling the breath on his body, Xuanji felt extremely comfortable. The three attributes of fire, earth and wood are cultivated at the same time. Not only does it take into account its own attribute characteristics, but it also perfectly matches itself, and runs very smoothly. 18 years old, Xuanji sighed. In the cave, he directly lit a fire, poured spiritual spring water into the copper tripod, poured in white yang rice, and began to steam rice. Fire, it is spiritual fire. After a while, the tripod exuded a burst of fragrance. He opened the copper tripod, took out the white yang rice with a wooden spoon, and put it in a wooden bowl. He took out 3 more bowls, which contained meat soup made from monster meat, dishes made from spiritual medicine, and a bowl of medicinal wine. He started eating. Spiritual rice, eating it warms the stomach. Spiritual wine, drinking it feels like fire in the mouth. Spiritual meat, smooth, soft, and chewy. While eating, the stomach is moving slightly, digesting the food. The spiritual energy contained in the food is slowly refined by the body, delicate and gentle, nourishing the flesh. The level of food determines the level of life. The higher the level of life, the more refined the food. In the eyes of mortals, immortals live on dew and clouds, and breathe in and out spiritual energy. But in fact, it is not the case. Cultivators also need to eat spiritual rice, spiritual medicine, and spiritual pills. Opening a cave on the spiritual vein, absorbing spiritual energy, and refining it into true energy is the conventional method of cultivation for cultivators. But the spiritual energy of the spiritual vein is violent and agitated. After absorbing it into the body, it is necessary to use mental power to suppress it, and continuously refine and eliminate its violent agitation. After absorbing spiritual energy for cultivation for a period of time, it is necessary to rest and recuperate to avoid hurting the meridians. Spiritual rice, grown in spiritual fields, contains a gentle and nourishing spiritual energy. After eating it, it will not hurt the meridians of cultivators, but can also nourish the body and increase their cultivation. There are a large number of spiritual fields near the spiritual veins, and a large amount of spiritual rice is planted as food. Spiritual rice is a necessity for cultivators. Cultivators can survive without eating spiritual rice, but their cultivation will stagnate and progress will be much slower. After eating and drinking, Xuanji lay on the bed to rest. At this time, the jade pendant in his arms rang, and a message came. Father is back. After receiving the message, Xuanji left the cave and walked towards home. At the foot of the mountain, in the courtyard, Xuanji saw his father and mother. Mom, father, you are back. Xuanji said. I'm back. I haven't seen you for 3 years, said his father. Son, come and hug me. The mother came forward, but found that her son had grown up and could not be hugged. Son, this is a gift I brought you, the father said, taking out some gifts from the storage bag. The sword is like autumn water, emitting bright light, sharp and unparalleled, dancing in the air, and making a hissing sound. Not only is it sharp, there are also runes inside the spirit sword that combine together to form a rune array, which draws the spiritual power of heaven and earth, and nourishes the body of the sword. The 3-foot green blade has a sword tassel on the hilt, which is light and unique. This is the Kyushu sword, a first level spiritual weapon. Son, use it. The father pointed his finger, and the spiritual sword flew over. Xuanji took the spiritual sword, and held it in his hand. It weighed only more than 3 pounds, but it was extremely sharp. The blood dripped on the Korun formation of the spiritual sword, leaving a blood mark. Suddenly, it felt like the spiritual sword had become an extension of his arm, sensitive and fast. A trace of true energy entered the rune formation, and the formation was activated. The true energy was consumed violently. After consuming 3 layers of true energy, the flying sword flashed, and turned into a stream of light and stabbed out. The speed was extremely fast, reaching 300 meters per second, and the void made a hissing sound. Swish. It took less than 3 breaths to run out of true energy. Good sword, Xuanji exclaimed. This is a 2nd level spiritual talisman. One is the Earth Shield talisman, which can form an Earth Shield to defend against an attack in the early stage of foundation building. One is the Fireball talisman, which can send out a fireball spell of the foundation building cultivator. And one is the Teleportation talisman, which can teleport 10 miles away. As the father said, he took out 3 jade talismans. After receiving the 3 jade talismans, Xuanji was not happy, but worried. Father, what happened? According to the family's rules, before the 7th level of key training, most people plant spiritual medicines and spiritual rice near Kingfeng Mountain, and rarely go out to perform tasks. These things don't seem to be needed. But these gifts cost at least 200 spiritual stones. Father's 3rd level cultivation level is only 400 spiritual stones per year. In 2 years, the beast tide that occurs once every 100 years will come. At that time, your father will not be able to take care of you. You have to be smart. The father said worriedly. The ancestral land has a 3rd level spiritual formation. I'm safe here, Xuanji said. You don't understand. The beast tide is terrible, said the father. When the beast tide comes, all kinds of low level monsters are everywhere, like a tide sweeping everything and drowning everything. Don't say that you are only at the 3rd level of key training. Even foundation building cultivators, purple mansion cultivators, and even golden elixir cultivators may fall into it. In the beast tide, some purple mansion families' mountain protection formations are often breached. Remember, 200 years ago, a family's mountain protection formation was breached, and there were 3 foundation building cultivators, 25 key training cultivators, and 100,000 mortals in it. Seemingly a little frightened, the father said solemnly, son, when the beast tide comes, don't think too much about other things, and save yourself first. Chapter 7 Father's Sacrifice. Speaking of the beast tide, he kept giving instructions. Father, how are you doing recently? Xuanji asked. It's still the same. I'm already 130 years old. Without a great opportunity, it's hard to become a purple mansion cultivator. Only you have a great hope. The father smiled and was full of expectations for his son. Father awakened his spiritual roots at the age of 6, with 3 spiritual roots, which was inferior. He entered the peak of key training at the age of 53. At that time, the family happened to have extra foundation building pills, and my father spent contribution points to buy them, and took them to break through the foundation. Unfortunately, the breakthrough to the foundation failed. Then, he entered a long and painful life of paying off debts. He worked hard for the family for 20 years, before he repaid the debt. At the age of 70, my father was unwilling to give up, and he retreated again, to break through the foundation building realm. This time, there was no foundation building pill, but he turned the impossible into possible, and became a foundation building cultivator. After becoming a foundation building cultivator, my father was full of energy and wanted to break through to the purple mansion cultivator, but he was soon slapped by reality. It took 20 years to break through a small level. It took more time in the later stage. When he passed away, my father was only at the 5th level of foundation building. Seeing that there was no hope for the purple mansion, my father placed his hopes on the next generation. At the age of 100, he married the female cultivator of the Yi family, that is, his mother, and gave birth to 3 children in 30 years. The eldest brother, who who had no spiritual roots, married 3 wives and 4 concubines in the mortal world, and lived a carefree life. The second sister, who had 5 spiritual roots and limited prospects, lived in the family for 10 years, and went to the secular world to manage the family business. He awakened 3 spiritual roots, which were of higher quality, comparable to 2 spiritual roots, and there was hope for the purple mansion. My father placed some of his hopes on Xuanji now. For the future of his son, some things should be planned in advance. "Son, do you know how much a foundation building pill costs?" asked his father. "A foundation building pill costs about 10,000 spirit stones." Xuanji talked about the price of the foundation building pill. The various materials needed for the foundation building pill cost 3,000 spirit stones, but the price, after refining it into a pill, is 10,000 spirit stones, with a profit margin of more than 230%, which can be called a huge profit. 10,000 spirit stones are just the market price, sighed his father. The actual price is at least 15,000 spirit stones. According to the family's rules, to obtain the foundation building pill, 3 conditions must be met. One is to reach the peak of key training before the age of 60, one is to collect 10,000 spirit stones or contribution points, and one is to make corresponding contributions in the family. "Son, if you want to buy the foundation building pill before the age of 60, you must accumulate at least 10,000 spirit stones. My annual salary is 400 spirit stones. Excluding some necessary expenses, I can save 200 spirit stones a year. If you are a little frugal, plus the contribution points saved in the past, and borrow money from friends, it is still possible." "Dad, if you are so frugal, will you have enough spirit stones to spend?" Xuanji was worried. "Without spirit stones, how can you practice?" His father's saving of spirit stones means that he spends very little, and his cultivation progress will be very slow, or even stagnant. In other words, in order to save money for him to buy the foundation building pill, his father has given up practicing. "My future is limited. Whether I become the 5th or 7th level of foundation building, the difference is not big. I'm not destined to the purple mansion realm. Why not support you?" the father said, very free and easy, with an indescribable calmness in his words. "Father, you don't have to be like this. You have sacrificed too much," Xuanji said. "The sacrifice is great, but for you, it is all worth it. Without the sacrifice of the predecessors, there would be no rise of the younger generation." The father said, "If you can become the ancestor of the purple mansion, Dad's sacrifice is worth it. Our generation is not afraid of sacrifice, but we are afraid that the sacrifice is worthless. I will accumulate spirit stones, and you must work hard to reach the peak of key refining before the age of 50. Xuanji sighed and said, "Father, I will work hard." The family gathered together, chatting and saying some intimate words. The mother has 5 spirit roots and low qualifications. Now she is in her 50s, and is only at the 2nd level of key refining. Most of the time, she grows some spiritual medicines near Xiang Mountain, or refines some Bayang pills to make profits. The father is stationed at a mineral vein, and leads some cultivators in the family to dig spiritual mines. The mining of spiritual mines is difficult and there may be various dangers. Mortals cannot participate in the mining. Only cultivators can go to mine spiritual mines in person. My father is a foundation building cultivator, but he often enters the mine to dig some spiritual mines. My father smiled and talked about some things that happened in the spiritual mine. Not only should we guard against the monster insects that appear in the mine veins, but also guard against some casual cultivators who rob. In my father's description, casual cultivators are unstable factors in the world of cultivation. They often kill people to rob treasures, rob mine veins, rob some shops, and do some evil things. They have poor moral bottom line, and do things very carelessly. They are extremely bad. Xuan listened and asked. After 3 months of vacation, his father left. The mine cannot do without his father, and it needs a foundation building period to sit in charge. Soon after, the cultivators who went out returned and gathered in Xiang Mountain. The monks who were in seclusion walked out of the cave. Ding ding ding. At this moment, the bell rang, ringing 9 times in a row. The monks of the Lu family gathered in the square, and the ancestor of the Lu family's purple mansion also appeared. The moment he appeared, the ancestor of the Lu family exuded a terrifying aura, and traces of terrifying pressure emanated from him, like a human-shaped nuclear bomb, with destructive power. The Beast Dynasty happens once every 100 years. When the Beast Tide comes, we cultivators must protect the mortals. Although mortals are humble, they are the foundation of cultivators. Without a large number of mortals as the foundation, how can cultivators be born? Saving an insignificant mortal today may be the mother of a future Yuaning's engine. I order you to each steer your spirit boat, to lead the mortals into Xiang Mountain. Lu Xianyi, be responsible for leading the mortals to Danyang County. Lu Xianming, be responsible for leading the mortals to Beichan County. Lu Xuanzi, be responsible for leading the mortals to Qingshu County. Lu Jianan, be responsible for leading the mortals to Xuanwu County. Lu Yanping, be responsible for leading the mortals to Heshi County. Lu Wanli, be responsible for leading the mortals to Xianshu County. The ancestor gave orders, and more than a dozen foundation building cultivators of the family set out to some nearby counties to lead the mortals. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8: The Beast Tide Attacks. With Xiang Mountain as the center, the counties are distributed in an area of 3,000 miles, with a population of more than 2 million. Among these 2 million, more than 1 million people belong to the Lu clan. After thousands of years of reproduction, the descendants of the Lu family have grown to more than 1 million. It is also because of the chaos of monsters and evil cultivators, or other natural disasters and man-made disasters, that the population loss is large. Otherwise the population of the Lu family would be even larger. As for the remaining 1 million people, they are mainly foreign surnames, relying on the protection of the Lu family to survive in the world. It is more difficult for mortals to survive. If there is no protection from cultivators, they may become blood food for monsters, or be sacrificed by magic cultivators. Those villages and towns without the protection of cultivators will not exist for 10 days and will perish. Towns must be guarded by key training cultivators. County towns must be guarded by key training cultivators in the late stage. A county must be guarded by purple mansion cultivators. Without powerful cultivators, it is impossible to protect those mortals. The monks were also happy to protect those mortals. It was not that the monks were kind-hearted, but that mortals were the foundation of the monks. The more mortals there were, the more monks there would be. The flying boat was flying fast, reaching a speed of 100 meters per second. At an altitude of 300 meters, it was flying rapidly towards a nearby village. The village was located in the mountains, in a small river valley. The village was built on a small hillside. In the river valley, there were farmlands one after another, with crops growing green in them. There were also some farmers walking in them, using hoes to clear weeds. At the entrance of the village, there was a group of children playing. The mountain village seemed quiet and peaceful. When it arrived at the village, the flying boat stopped. When the flying boat landed, the whole village was shocked. Lu Xuanji walked into the village, found the village chief, and greeted the villagers. In less than an hour, more than 500 villagers boarded the flying boat. Some were reluctant to leave, unwilling to leave home. But under the command of the immortal master, they could only board the flying boat. The flying boat was moving forward. About 3 hours later, it arrived at the foot of Xiang Mountain, and the villagers came down one after another. A monk from the Lu family came forward, and began to guide and arrange. Driving the flying boat, Lu Xuanji left again. He went to a village, to pick up the people. In just one day, he went back and forth 5 or 6 times, and transported about 3,000 people. Back and forth, countless flying boats landed near Xiang Mountain, transporting ordinary people. Time and time again, many ordinary people gradually gathered near Xiang Mountain, and the population increased. With the guidance and maintenance of order by the monks of the Lu family, there was no big chaos. Woo woo woo. The flying boat was moving forward, and Lu Xuanji stopped in front of a village again, and began to greet the people. More people boarded the flying boat. The flying boat set off, and went towards the Lu family. The flying boat under his feet was extremely simple. Regular flying boats have defensive formations, offensive formations, super fast speeds, and terrifying defensive power. They can be regarded as weapons of war. But at this time, the flying boat that Xuanji used to transport the people was a simple one. Such a flying boat has weak defense and can be split by a flying sword. It is a live target in the air. The flying speed is also slow, only 100 meters per second. The flying speed of a foundation building cultivator is faster than this speed. As for various offensive weapons, there are almost none. For cultivators, it is almost useless. But such a flying boat is cheap. The price of one boat is only 10 spirit stones, and it can transport a large number of civilians. In this way, after about a month of busy work, the task of transporting civilians was completed. There are about 2.5 million people gathered in an area of less than 10 square kilometers near Xiang Mountain. The population is too crowded, but under the arrangement of the Lu family cultivators, it is distributed in an orderly manner. Standing at the door of the cave, looking at the dense population, Lu Xuanji's heart was numb. Lu family, conference hall. 23 foundation building monks sat upright on their chairs, with Lu Fuming sitting in the center. The Purple Mansion Patriarch said, the Danliang sect has issued a call for the beast tide to come. Passive defense will only lead to failure everywhere. It is best to take the initiative to intercept the high-level monsters at Teeling Pass. According to the old rules, the family must send half of the monks, that is, 12 foundation building monks, and me to the front line. As for who to send, it will be decided by drawing lots. Life and death are determined by fate, and wealth and honor are determined by heaven. The Purple Mansion Patriarch said, taking out a cylinder and putting 23 lots in it. Everyone, check the lot cylinder. The monks came forward to check it. After confirming that there was no trick, some people began to draw lots one after another. Some people drew lots to go, and some people did not. Go down and prepare. The Purple Mansion Patriarch said. Prepare for half a day and set off for Teeling Pass. The monks responded in unison. But soon, a flying boat appeared in the void. The flying boat is 10 meters long and 3 meters wide. It may not seem big, but it is made of black iron, and emits a dark light. There are mysterious array patterns on it, and a layer of light appears on the outside of the flying boat. There are also 3 rune cannons on the boat. This is the 3rd grade flying boat Jialang. Jialang is a 3rd grade flying boat that can activate the defense array and turn it into a rune light shield to resist the attack of the peak of the Purple Mansion. There are 3 rune cannons on the boat, and the attack it launches is comparable to the attack of the early stage of the Golden Core. At the fastest moment, it can be comparable to the escape technique of the early stage of the Golden Core. On the flying boat stood the Purple Mansion ancestor Lu Fuming and 12 foundation building monks of the Lu family. Swish. The flying boat flashed, flew out of Xiang Mountain, and disappeared in the distance. Mother, where did the ancestor go? Lu Xuanji asked. The 100-year beast tide is coming. It is not enough to just passively defend and rely on the mountain protection formation of Xiang Mountain. If we defend for a long time, we will lose. Only by taking the initiative can Xiang Mountain relieve some of the pressure. The Danliang sect is recruiting monks from various families to go to the defense line to resist some big monsters. Yi Xinlun said with a worried look. Every time the beast tide comes, there are Purple Mansion monks who fall, and there may even be Golden Elixir monks who fall. Boom, boom, boom. The big sound is violent, and along with the sound, monsters appear on the horizon in the distance, including cat monsters, pig monsters, rat monsters, sheep monsters, wolf monsters, etc., in groups. They come densely, like a tide, drowning everything. The monsters that make up the beast tide are mainly low-level bloodlines, mainly first-level monsters. Many of them have just been born with shallow intelligence and are in a daze, but they are the most ferocious. Lu Xuanji looked at this scene and felt his scalp tingling. A single monster is very weak. A cultivator at the first level of key training can be killed with one sword. But the beast tide formed by millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, and billions of them gathered together was enough to drown everything. Not to mention the foundation building cultivators, even the Purple Mansion cultivators would be drowned. There are so many ants that they can bite elephants to death. Moreover, in the beast tide, there are some second level and third level monsters hidden, ready to attack human strongmen at any time. Wherever the beast tide passes, it is like a flood that submerges everything, destroying villages, destroying cities, and damaging spiritual fields. Many spiritual medicines, spiritual rice, etc. that have not been harvested in time have been looted, and spiritual fields have been destroyed. Many villages were submerged by the beast tide and turned into ruins after a while. Some human civilians did not have time to hide in Xiang Mountain and were attacked by the beast tide. They were submerged in an instant, and when they appeared again, only skeletons were left. There were also some casual cultivators, or cultivators who did not have time to hide, who only lasted less than a moment under the attack of the beast tide, and lost their lives. Chapter 9 The Beast Tide Attacks. Bang! At this moment, the beast tide stared at Xiang Mountain. Roar! The monsters roared, and began to attack Xiang Mountain. The wind howler wolf roared, and spit out a wind blade to attack the formation. The lightning rabbit opened its mouth and spit out a lightning to attack the formation. The tusk pig spit out a black water arrow to attack the formation. Groups of monsters stared at the mountain protection formation on Xiang and attacked. Each monster's attack was very weak, but thousands of monsters joined forces to attack, which was earth-shaking. Xiang Mountain was shaking. The formation was shaking, and seemed to be crumbling. Boom boom boom. The monsters continued to attack, and continuous spells bombarded the formation. The formation shook, and seemed to be broken. But the purple light flashed, and abruptly resolved many dangers. Xuanji looked at this scene, his mind was swaying. Once the mountain protection formation is breached, the 2 million mortals and more than 1,000 monks in the entire Xiang Mountain will all become blood food for the monsters. Family monks sit at the center of the formation and guard against unexpected events. At this moment, the voice of the great elder came, cold and cruel. No action without the family's order. Xuanji returned to the cave, sat on a Taoist platform, and urged his true energy. The Taoist platform was operating. On Xiang Mountain, each cave was a formation node. At ordinary times, the spiritual veins supply the executor monks to practice, but at this moment, it turned into a continuous stream of spiritual energy to support the operation of the formation, and the third level Xiang formation was in operation. As the formation was in operation, a purple light shield rose and surrounded Xiang Mountain. Runes flashed and changed, resisting the impact of the monsters. Bang bang. The formation was in operation, making a fierce sound. Xuanji was nervous and worried. The beast tide, once 100 years, is almost inevitable. In the eyes of monsters, humans are the supreme delicacy. Eating humans can open up their spiritual wisdom and accelerate their cultivation. They are considered the supreme medicine. Every time the beast tide begins, it is the supreme feast of monsters and the time for a meal. After 7 days, it seemed that the formation could not be broken. Some monsters gradually dispersed to attack other weak areas to find blood food. Sensing that the number of monsters outside was decreasing, Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief. Xiang Mountain is temporarily safe, but it is not safe. The monster group under Xiang Mountain is not impossible to break through Xiang Mountain, but it will cost a huge price to break through Xiang Mountain. Instead of spending a long time here, it is better to attack some spiritual mountains with weak defenses. However, we still need to guard against the monsters killing back. The beast tide is really terrible. I don't know how many casual cultivators and foundation building families will be destroyed in the beast tide this time. Xuanji was nervous, worried about the purple mansion ancestors of the family who went to the expedition, the foundation building cultivators, and his father who participated in the war. Xiang Mountain has a level 3 formation that can resist the attacks of purple mansion monks. Even the golden core ancestor needs to consume some time to attack. However, the operation of the Xiang formation consumes the power of the spirit vein. Running the formation for a long time will cause the spirit vein to dry up or even be destroyed. Hiding on the spirit mountain and passively defending is almost a slow death. At the moment of each beast tide, the Danliang faction led the purple mansion monks, foundation building monks, etc. to stop the high level monsters. Those high-level monks intercepted a large number of high-level monsters in front, resulting in the beast tide being mainly low-level monsters, and medium and high-level monsters were rare. Only then could humans be trapped in the spirit mountains to protect themselves. The beast tide continued. After a month, the beast tide began to recede. There were foundation building monks who went to explore and found that the beast tide had evacuated thousands of miles away. About 10 days later, all the monsters withdrew to the Xuan mountains. The beast tide ended. However, the land was devastated. Many towns and sacred mountains suffered devastating blows. Countless humans became blood food, and many monks were buried there. Under the command of the Great Elder, Xiang Mountain began to be dredged in an orderly manner. 2 million mortals left one after another and returned to their original residence. One by one, flying boats rose up to escort the mortals away. Many monks breathed a sigh of relief. The beast tide was over, and they finally survived. In the ruins, the land began to recuperate, and some towns of humans recovered their vitality. Back in the cave, Xuanji sensed the spirit cave. There was almost no spiritual energy leaking out of the spirit cave. In order to maintain the operation of the mountain protection formation, the spirit veins on Xiang Mountain were severely depleted, and they needed to enter the recuperation. Don't think about practicing for 5 years. 10 days later, the Jianalong appeared in the void. But at this moment, the Jianalong was a little broken and shaky. On the flying boat, some familiar faces were missing. When they set out, there was a purple mansion patriarch and 12 foundation building monks, but when they returned, there were only 5 foundation building monks. Purple mansion patriarch Lu Fuming was pale, and he just said hello and left in a hurry. In the crowd, he saw his father. Father, son. Seeing his father, Lu Xuanji was surprised. His father was also smiling, but his expression was a little tired. My son, dead. Impossible. Dad, how did you die? Husband, woo woo woo. Just then, Lu Xuanji heard the cries of some clansmen. Their relatives died in the beast tide disaster. The greater the power, the greater the responsibility. In the family, in order to support a foundation building monk, many middle and low level monks are sacrificing and saving money. Foundation building monks enjoy supreme power, but when the family is in danger, foundation building monks have to charge forward. Just like this time when the beast tide came, mortals and low level monks can hide in the mountains and hide in the mountain protection formation, but foundation building monks can't. The foundation building cultivators must charge to the front. At the front line, they must intercept high-level monsters and reduce the burden on Lingshan. The father did not say much and went straight back to the courtyard. The mother began to cook. After a while, 5 dishes and 3 bowls of spiritual rice were ready. While eating the spiritual rice, the father said, on the front line, the attacking monsters are endless, including purple mansion monsters and golden elixir monsters. The battle is very hard. The father kept talking about the front line and the war. War will kill people. In the battle on the front line, 5 foundation building cultivators of the Lu family died, and the rest of the foundation building cultivators were also injured to varying degrees. Of course, relatively speaking, the monster clan also suffered a lot of casualties. Father, can we not fight? Can we be peaceful? Can't we farm and run our business in peace? Lu Xuanji asked, with a trace of worry in his eyes. No one likes to fight. If a few foundation building cultivators die on the battlefield, the family will suffer. Even if they are injured on the battlefield, they need to rest for a few years to recover their vitality, but they have to fight. My father looked a little melancholy. Resources are limited. In order to compete for resources, the demons must fight against humans. The demons must use humans as blood food to open their spiritual intelligence, improve their essence, and speed up their evolution. Humans must also hunt demon beasts and use their inner elixirs to refine foundation building pills. The fur of demon beasts can be used to make talismans. The bones of demon beasts can be used to create some magic tools. Chapter 10. The ancestor is seriously injured. The internal conflicts among the demon race are more intense than those among humans. Cat demons and rat demons are natural enemies. Tiger demons and deer demons are natural enemies, and they fight fiercely with each other. The other demon beasts also fight fiercely among themselves. Those demon kings will create enemies, even if there are no enemies already, in order to ease the internal conflicts among the demon beasts. Only by uniting against external forces can the internal conflicts among the demon race be eased. Father said, the White Tiger Demon King launched the Beast Tide to, on the one hand, consume excess low-level demon beasts, and on the other hand, consume the potential of the human race in the war. Thirdly, use the war to train troops, and cultivate the younger generation of demons. Xuanji said, is the ancestor seriously injured? Very seriously, said the father worriedly. The ancestor was already old, he is already 350 years old, and he was seriously injured this time, and his lifespan is decreasing. The elders of the family are planning to buy healing pills for the patriarch. The theoretical lifespan of a purple mansion cultivator is 480 years. However, because monks take elixirs, they leave elixir poison in their bodies, which will affect their lifespans. Fighting with monks will reduce their vitality and shorten their lifespans. When practicing the exercises, if something goes wrong, damaging the meridians will also reduce their lifespans. Because of various problems, many Purple Mansion monks do not live to their theoretical lifespans, and most of them died more than 400 years old. Lu Fuming's lifespan is 350 years old, which is equivalent to 70 years old for ordinary people, and he has entered the period of exhaustion of lifespan. In this war, after the ancestor was injured, his lifespan was not much. If the ancestor dies, the family will not have a Purple Mansion monk to sit in, and the tigers and wolves will pounce on it, and the situation will be bad. Not long after, the 3 foundation building monks on Xiang Mountain left, and went to the market to buy the 3rd grade treasure pill, Gyuan pill. Gyuan treasure pill is a supreme healing holy pill, which is also very beneficial to Purple Mansion monks. The 3 elders left. They left in a hurry, and after walking for a month, they arrived at Kinglian Square. Here, there used to be a 4th level dragon with the blood of the Azure Dragon, which was later killed by a giant and casual cultivator. He then built a spiritual vein, opened a market, built spiritual fields, and so on. After 100 years of construction, this place is quite prosperous and commercially developed. There are all kinds of people here, including casual cultivators, bandits, some demon cultivators, and other shady characters who have settled here one after another. Some plant spiritual fields, some hunt monsters, some look for spiritual medicines, and some refine elixirs, etc. Living and working in peace and contentment here. After entering the market, the 3 elders stayed at the inn. A trading conference will be held in about 10 days. At the trade fair, Gyu and Baoden will appear, and we must be careful. The 3rd elder Lu Changping said, we understand. The 5th elder Lu Changban said, I hope this trip goes well. The 6th elder Lu Wanli did not speak, but his mood was also extremely depressed. In order to buy the treasure pill, he used the family's 20,000 spiritual stones, and hurried all the way, to avoid all kinds of eyes, but it was still a bit dangerous. The only hope is that this trip will go well. The night passed quickly, and in the darkness, men in black appeared one after another, gathering in a courtyard. These men in black exuded a trace of powerful aura, the weakest of whom was also at the 9th level of key training, and many of them exuded the aura of foundation building. Among the crowd, there was a man in black who was the most powerful, standing there like an abyss, exuding a cold aura. Are all the people here? The man in black asked, his voice a little hoarse. A middle-aged man came forward to count, and after a moment he said, second brother, there are still 6 people who haven't arrived. There may be an accident. No need to wait for them. The man in black said calmly, without the slightest emotional fluctuation. People die every day in the world of cultivation, and those 6 people who didn't attend the party may have died on the way. The man in black said, during the beast tide, the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Fuming, was seriously injured, and urgently needed Gyu and Dan to heal his wounds. The Lu family sent 3 elders to Kinglian Square to buy the precious elixir. This is our chance, but on the way, 3 Lu family elders were intercepted and killed. As long as there is no precious elixir, the old man of the Lu family will definitely die. Back then, we attacked the Lu family's spiritual mine, but we were ambushed by the Lu family and suffered heavy losses. A female cultivator in black said angrily, in that battle, my Taoist partner was killed by the Lu family cultivators. My son continued to fight to the death with the Lu family and died in the hands of the Lu family. An old man in black said. My daughter fell into the hands of the Lu family and was tortured to death. Another black cultivator spoke. One after another, cultivators spoke up and told the crimes of the Lu family. In Qingshu County, in order to compete for mineral veins, spiritual fields, and other various resources, the Lu family fought with some independent cultivators and some cultivation families one after another, killing countless people and exterminating countless clans in the process. Trampling on the corpses of countless losers, the accumulation of capital was completed, and the hegemony of the Lu family in Qingshu County was established. In this process, for various reasons, they became attached to some cultivators and had hatred. Some black-clothed men were silent and did not say anything. These cultivators had no hatred for the Lu family, but when they heard that the ancestor of the Lu family was seriously injured and dying, and the situation of the Lu family was unstable, they were like hyenas, smelling blood, and wanted to pounce on the Lu family and bite off a few pieces of meat. If cultivators want to make progress, they need resources. As long as there are enough resources, even 5 spiritual roots can build a foundation. But in Qingshu County, most of the resources are occupied by the Danliang sect, and a few are occupied by some large cultivation families, leaving only some leftovers for casual cultivators. For resources, they can only rob, fight, plunder various elixirs, spiritual herbs, and improve the speed of cultivation. If you don't rob, you can only go to the 10,000 mountains to hunt monsters and obtain resources. But monsters are never easy to hunt. Weak monsters travel in groups, while powerful monsters travel alone. No matter which type, they are not easy to deal with. Relatively speaking, it is better to rob some monks and some cultivation families. Resources come quickly, and the danger is small. No calculation. What if they ambush us on the way? A black-clothed bandit monk said. No, it is true that the old man of the Lu family died and was seriously injured. Many people in Teeling Pass saw this scene. Now he is hanging on to Xiang Mountain. This time, the 3 elders of the Lu family left quietly and went to Qinglian Square to buy elixirs. They hid their identities. It was only by chance that I learned some inside information. The middle-aged monk said, I'm unwilling not to take action against the Lu family this time. If you don't want to take action, you can leave. You just need to swear a blood oath not to leak the news. After a while, some monks stood up and swore a blood oath not to leak this memory under any excuse. Some monks left again. In the end, only 6 monks stayed, intending to kill the monks of the Lu family and plunder their property. More than 30,000 spirit stones are enough for them to spend for decades. Chapter 11 20 years. 10 days later, the trade fair opened. At the trade fair, everyone wore masks to hide their identities. The transaction went smoothly, and the Lu family got what they wanted, buying the Gyuan pill for 25,000 spirit stones. After purchasing the Gyuan pill, the 3 elders left quietly. Swish. Walking in the mountains, the 3 elders were walking, and suddenly a flying sword came to stab them. The 3rd elder Lu Changping urged the magic weapon, and a golden shield appeared to resist the stabbing flying sword, but the huge force impacted the blood and ki, and the mind was shaken. At the same time, the other 2 elders were attacked. Bang! The magic weapons were colliding, the spells were colliding, and the 2 sides clashed together. The battle started quickly, and entered the bloody stage. The 3 elders of the Lu family were trapped in the siege, and they were obviously no match for the 6 black-clothed bandits. In just a dozen breaths, someone was injured. Old man, go to hell. At this moment, a man in black urged the spirit sword, and a series of light and shadows flashed, turning into 13 sword shadows to stab directly to the 3rd elder. No, my life is over. It's a pity that the precious pill can't be delivered to the ancestor. The 3rd elder said in despair. At this moment, a slight sigh came, as if lamenting. A spirit sword appeared. This spirit sword was forged with spirit wood, with the texture of trees, flashing green. Sizzle. The spirit sword pointed and stabbed the man in black, breaking the true essence shield with one sword, and perished on the spot. An old man appeared in front, with a majestic demeanor, and exuding a hint of destruction. It was the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Fuming. This purple mansion ancestor actually followed quietly. The remaining few black monks were horrified and fled in different ways. The purple mansion monk was too strong, and it was not something that the foundation building monks could resist. Lu Fuming chased in one direction. His spirit sword flashed and turned into a green flying sword to stab. The black-clothed monk dodged and resisted 7 sword blades, but at the moment of the 8th sword energy, he was stabbed by the 8th sword energy and died on the spot. He continued to chase and kill, and 3 foundation building monks died one after another. The remaining 3 black-clothed monks fled for their lives. Ancestor, why are you here? If you fight before your injuries are healed, it will aggravate your injuries. The third elder said, full of worry. It doesn't matter. I'm seriously injured, but it's still easy to kill a few foundation building monks. Lu Fuming said calmly, casually, and calmly. I made the ancestor worried. The third elder said, it's a pity. I planned to catch big fish, but I only caught a few small guys. Lu Fuming said, a little regretful. Let the 3 elders of the Lu family go to King Lianfang to lure the snake out of the hole and induce some opponents to take action, just in time to eliminate the enemy and clear the disaster for the Lu family. But I didn't expect that those enemies could be so patient. Lu Fuming collected his thoughts and left with the 3 elders. It was about 3 hours after the Lu family ancestor left. On the ground, the soil rolled, and a grey-clothed man appeared on the ground like a groundhog. Old dog of the Lu family, good skills, the grey-clothed man said. It is worthy of being an existence of the 8th level of the purple mansion. Even if he is seriously injured, I can't challenge him with the cultivation of the 3rd level of the purple mansion. If I meet him, I may be killed within 20 moves. However, you are old after all. Even if you recover from this injury, your lifespan will not exceed 20 years. Time, stand on my side. When you sit and die, it will be the time for me to destroy the Lu family. As he said, the grey-clothed man gnashed his teeth and hated it to the bone. Back then, he was just a casual cultivator. He accidentally entered the cave of the predecessor and began to rise. Once he entered the market of the Lu family to buy some items because the property was exposed. When he walked out of the market, he was robbed and killed by the monks of the Lu family. He killed the monks of the Lu family. But this also stirred up a hornet's nest. The monks of the Lu family kept chasing him. He kept fighting and killed a foundation building monk of the Lu family in the fierce battle. The Lu family was furious and issued a wanted order. The grey monk could only flee Qingshu County. When he fled, he was intercepted by the Lu family. He escaped with a narrow escape, but his Taoist partner died in the hands of the Lu family. At that time, he swore that he would not be a human being until he destroyed the Lu family. After 100 years of hard training, he returned to Qingshu County. He was already at the 3rd level of the purple mansion, but he was still no match for the Lu family's ancestor Lu Fuming. Fortunately, the heavens have eyes. The ancestor of the Lu family is old and seriously injured. He will die in 20 years at most. This time, he instigated the bandit cultivators to intercept and kill the 3 elders of the Lu family, just to test the details of the Lu family. Success is good, but failure will not have much impact. At the moment of attack, Lu Fuming successfully killed 3 foundation building monks, but he also exposed his weakness. He could not hold on for much longer. 20 years, I can wait. The grey-clothed man sneered and disappeared. Ahem. Along the way, Lu Fuming remained calm and composed, as if he was not injured, but when he entered the cave, he could no longer hold on. He immediately vomited blood and his whole body was weak. Along the way, he was forcing himself to cheer up. He opened the pill bottle and took out the Gyuan pill. The Gyuan pill is wrapped with a pill coat outside the pill to lock the medicinal power and reduce the loss of medicinal power. If there is no pill coat, the Gyuan pill can only be stored for more than a year, or the medicinal power will dissipate. But with the pill coat, it can be stored for at least 30 years. After removing the pill coat, the pill exudes green and has a strong vitality in it. Lu Fuming took the pill and the medicinal power began to dissipate. Whoosh! Holding the danju, he refined the medicinal power of the elixir. A trace of gentle medicinal power began to spread and repaired the injured body. After about 10 days, the medicinal power was completely refined. But Lu Fuming was not happy, but melancholy. The injury is more serious than I thought. My lifespan is at most 10 years. I will have to sit and die in 10 years. I'm not willing to accept it. I'm not willing to accept it. His face was a little distorted, and his face was a little cold. It seemed that there was a black air shrouding his head, and the evil spirit was rising, like a demon from hell. 10 years later, once I sit and die, the Lu family will be besieged by tigers and wolves. I'm not willing to accept it. If there is no beast tide, I still have 70 years of life, enough to enter the 9th level of the Purple Mansion, and even have a chance to impact the golden elixir. I'm not willing to accept it. 10 years later, I will die, turned into a cold corpse and buried underground. I'm not willing to accept it. The ancestor of the Lu family roared madly, shouting, expressing his unwillingness, speaking of the anger in his heart. After a long time, he sat down dejectedly and said, for now, this is the only solution. I'm sorry. Chapter 12 5 Unforgivable Sins. Ding, ding, ding. On this day, the bell rang. It rang 3 times in a row, and along with the bell, the monks on Xiang Mountain went to the conference hall one after another. Half a day later, except for the monks who were on missions outside, most of them gathered here. In the conference hall, the ancestor of the Lu family sat in the central position in the north, and many foundation building elders sat on chairs on both sides. As for the key training stage monks, they stood on both sides, and had no seats. Lu fuming said, I want to go into seclusion, to heal my wounds and reverse life and death. If I succeed, I will borrow another 50 years of life from heaven. If I fail, I will be nothing but ashes. Regardless of success or failure, you can open my cave in 20 years. Before I go into seclusion, I have a few instructions for you. First, there are still 18 foundation building monks in the family. They should be re-ranked and their positions should be assigned. Second, some of the family's industries should be appropriately reduced, and some interests in the market should be transferred to the Wu family, the Yi family, the Qian family, the Sun family, etc. Third, the selection of the clan leader. Fourth, restate the family rules. Lu fuming stood up, exuding a terrifying aura, intimidating those present. A flower does not stay in bloom for 100 days, and a person does not stay popular for 100 days. Not to mention that our Lu family is only a Zifu family. Even the Jiandan family and the Yuanying family have experienced prosperity, decline, and destruction one after another. Successful families are all wonderful in their own ways, but failed families are similar. It's nothing more than the elders are unfair, the family is in chaos and turmoil, or the family disciples are domineering and offend enemies outside, bringing disaster to the family, or the family encounters a strong enemy and cannot resist, and is destroyed on the spot. The key to the survival of my Lu family for 1,000 years is that we have strict family rules, do not do things that harm the world, and have a bottom line in doing things. As long as the family bottom line is maintained, I will help my relatives instead of others, but some people do things in a very vicious way. I don't want to endure the viciousness anymore. Lu fuming said, life and death are unpredictable during this retreat, and I have to remove some termites for the Lu family. Lu Xuanji, you are in charge of the market and run the shop in the family, but you don't follow the rules. After the guests left the market, you went out to hunt down the guests many times, killing people and stealing treasures, and ruining the family's reputation. At the 8th level of key training, you assassinated 8 guests. At the 9th level of key training, you assassinated 12 guests. By killing guests, you accumulated foundation building pills, and entered the foundation building realm. After entering the foundation building realm, you killed guests many times, and many guests were killed by you. You are very smart. First of all, you did not move the members of the cultivation family in Qingshu County, and did not move those cultivators with strong cultivation. You specifically targeted the independent cultivators, and hunted those independent cultivators without backgrounds. When you hunted the guests, you would not go out and assassinate them directly, but after tracking them for 3 consecutive days, you would assassinate them when they were far away from the market. Lu Xuanji, do you know your crime? The Purple Mansion ancestor shouted sternly, murderous, and the terrifying aura of pressure came. Lu Xuanji walked out and trembled. Ancestor, I know my crime. He knelt directly on the ground. Guilty. The crime of quibbling is aggravated. If you know your crime, then just commit suicide, so that I don't have to do it. Lu Fuming said coldly, according to family rules, those who collude with the demon clan must be killed. Those who become evil cultivators must be killed. Those who kill clan members must be killed. Those who kill customers in the market must be killed. And those who sell out family interests must be killed. The 5 capital crimes are unforgivable. Even a foundation building cultivator must be killed. You commit suicide. As he said that, he threw a sword over. Ancestor, I know my crime, but I'm not convinced. Lu Xuanji said stubbornly, at the beginning, my father died for the family, and my father had made great contributions. At the age of 45, I reached the peak of key training, and was qualified to receive the foundation building pill. Combining the two, I should have received the family's foundation building pill, but in the end it was given to Xuanji. At that time, I was already 50 years old, and the family did not have my foundation building pill, so I could only rely on myself. Over the years, I have made military achievements for the family, and was injured many times. Killing a few casual cultivators is just a big deal. Will the death of a few casual cultivators affect the family's business? It is impossible. If the ancestor insists on killing me for a few casual cultivators, I know my crime, but I'm not convinced. Ancestor, Xuanji says guilty, but the crime does not deserve death. Please forgive me. Lu Xianji persuaded, Xuanji should be exiled to the border and severely punished. My Lu family must do things in an upright manner, but you are different. You directly intercept and kill guests. If you break the rules, you must be killed. Since you are unwilling to commit suicide, I will kill you. Lu Fuming said coldly, holding the spirit sword in his hand, murderously speaking. Ancestor, you are ruthless. Lu Xuanji said, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Lu Fuming sneered, why do I need you to be convinced? I just need to be worthy of our ancestors. As for you, you are just a villain who has succeeded and is rampant. Today you can kill guests for a few spirit stones. Tomorrow you can betray your clansmen for a foundation building pill, and the day after tomorrow you can betray your family for a piece of Xiang jade. I'm going to kill you. Use your head to warn others. Let's see whether his head is harder or my sword is sharper. Swish. A destructive sword energy tore through Lu Xuanji's body, and the foundation building cultivator died on the spot. Come on, drive all the descendants of Lu Xuanji down the mountain within 3 generations. Within 9 generations, they are not allowed to test their spiritual roots, and they are not allowed to serve as officials in the mortal world. Let them live and die. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Lu Xuanji was also trembling with fear as he watched this scene. Lu Yanping, you obtained a magic skill called 6 Desires Union Secret in an adventure, which can be used to nourish female cultivators as a cauldron to improve your cultivation. Over the years, you have successively captured 38 female cultivators who were practicing Qi and 2 female cultivators who were building their foundation, and kept them in the villa. These female cultivators died one after another due to your nourishment, but you gained a lot. At a mere 120 years old, you are already at the 5th level of foundation building. Your progress is fast, but you have entered the devil's way, and should be killed. I want to kill you. Are you convinced? Lu Fuming said again, looking at a family cultivator. Grandpa, please spare my life. Lu Yanping knelt on the ground, trembling. Haha, heaven's will can be forgiven, but self-inflicted evil cannot. Lu Fuming sneered and killed him with one sword. Lu Yanping's head shattered, and he died on the spot. Lu Xiaoqin, you are in charge of the family trade, but over the years, you have colluded with the demon clan, selling Baiang rice to the demon clan, selling various elixirs, magic weapons, cultivation books, etc., and making high profits from the demon clan. But the materials you sell to the demon clan will strengthen the monsters, and bring danger to humans. Do you know your crime? Ancestor, I know my crime. Lu Xiaoqin spoke, and her voice was calm. There is no need for the ancestor to do it. I will end my life. As she spoke, she activated her true energy. Her meridians were broken, and she died on the spot. The second update is here. Please support. Chapter 13. Reminder. Social death. The atmosphere was somewhat depressing, as if it was winter. In the world of cultivation, only 1 in 1,000 people had spiritual roots, and only 1 in 100 cultivators could build a foundation. Even if one took the foundation building pill at the peak of key training, there was only a chance of becoming a foundation building cultivator at the 3rd level. Every family that gave birth to a foundation building cultivator would hold a big banquet to celebrate and show off its majesty. Even in the Lu family, foundation building cultivators were powerful and held great authority. But now, 3 foundation building cultivators were lying on the ground, turned into corpses. In the conference hall, the atmosphere was somewhat depressing, and everyone was inexplicably afraid and uneasy. As for the others who have let go of the rules, I will not say much. Go down to the law enforcement hall to receive the punishment. Lu Fuming said coldly, the world is in turmoil and demons are rampant. If the cultivator family wants to survive, unity is the first priority, and the second is to have a bottom line in doing things. For those who have made contributions, you must not be stingy with rewards. Even if you don't like them, you must give them rewards. For those who have made mistakes, you must not hesitate to punish them severely. Even if they are your own sons, they must be killed. Kindness cannot command an army, and righteousness cannot make wealth. As a clan leader, the first rule is to distinguish between rewards and punishments, and to abide by the rules. If you don't abide by the rules yourself, how can you expect the people below to abide by the rules? Once everyone breaks the rules, the family will inevitably be in chaos. When foreign enemies invade, it will collapse in an instant, and everyone will be killed and reduced to casual cultivators. The life of casual cultivators is not easy. They don't eat well, they don't wear warm clothes, and they will be surrounded and killed. Without the protection of the family, how long can even a purple mansion cultivator last? In the world of cultivation, if you want to be kind to others, you must abide by the rules, rely on human feelings, and rely on connections. Those who don't abide by the rules have long been rotten to the bones. The ancestor said earnestly, it depends on God whether there are a few people who listen to him. These are the ones who have already been exposed. There are countless others who have not been exposed. Lu Xianming, are you willing to be the patriarch? At this moment, the Purple Mansion patriarch looked at a cultivator and asked sternly, Ancestor, I'm willing. Lu Xianming said, can you distinguish rewards and punishments, love the clan members, and fight for the family? Lu Fuming asked sternly again. I can. Lu Xianming said. Okay, that's good. Lu Fuming said, I appoint Lu Xianming as the patriarch. Do you have any objections? If someone thinks that he can do better than Lu Xianming and take more responsibility, he can replace him. Remember, being the patriarch is not about doing whatever you want, not holding power, but responsibility. You have to rush to the front when there is danger, and your children will not get the chance to enjoy the benefits. In order to prevent the patriarch from abusing his power for personal gain, there are many rules in the family that limit the patriarch's power. Many elders can supervise and restrict the patriarch. We are willing to accept it, a foundation building elder said. Other elders also spoke up, willing to let Lu Xianming serve as the clan leader. Okay, next, it's the appointment of the elders. Lu Fuming said, I announce the appointment of the elders. The first elder is Lu Xianyi, who is in charge of the punishment hall. The second elder is Lu Jianan, who is in charge of the alchemy hall. The third elder is Lu Wanli, who is in charge of the equipment hall. The fourth elder is Lu Jinwen, who is in charge of the talisman case. The fifth elder is Lu Changming, who is in charge of the Zai market. The sixth elder is Lu Anmin, who is in charge of the Qingshu market. The seventh elder is Lu Jingxiu, who is in charge of the shops in the Qinglian market. The eighth elder is Lu Chang, who is in charge of the transportation and collection of spiritual rice. The ninth elder is Lu Changming, who is in charge of the search for spiritual roots and the education of children. The 10th elder is Lu Yanling, and the 11th elder is Lu Ankang, who is in charge of the mining of spiritual ores. As for the other elders, they are temporarily recovering from their injuries, so they will not be assigned any tasks. Because I'm injured, some industries must be appropriately transferred. The old patriarch began to make arrangements, talking about the family's plans for the next 20 years in the direction of development. Many cultivators listened, and Lu Xuanji listened as well. But as he listened, he became a little sleepy. These are too far away from him. For him, the most important thing now is to practice hard, and he can't care about other things for the time being. He is just a newbie at the 3rd level of key training, and he is not even qualified to be a cannon fodder. If he wants to venture into the outside world, he must have at least the 7th level of key training. Otherwise, with only the 3rd level of key training, he can't expect that the enemies are all at the 1st and 2nd levels of key training and are weaker than him. This is unrealistic and impossible. You retreat. Those who are under the age of 60 and have 3 spiritual roots, stay for the time being. At this time, the ancestor spoke. Immediately, one by one, the cultivators left. There are about 300 cultivators under the age of 60 in the family, most of whom are 5 or 4 spiritual roots. As for those with 3 spiritual roots, there are only less than 12 people. These 12 people are all future foundation building seeds. The oldest is 58 years old, and the youngest is only 8 years old. Among the crowd, the one with the highest cultivation is already at the peak of the 9th level of key training, but the weakest is only at the 1st level of key training. Mixed in the crowd, Xuanji looks extremely inconspicuous. You are all seeds of the new generation. The Lu family will try their best to find foundation building pills for you and help you build your foundation. But you also have to strive for excellence. I don't ask you to become a great good person, but at least you have to stick to the bottom line of being a human being. The ancestor said, and began to instruct the cultivators present. One by one, carefully instructing. The Purple Mansion ancestor has such a broad knowledge. He pointed out the shortcomings and flaws from a high-level perspective, and said how to deal with them. Many cultivators listened and suddenly realized. Because of the ancestor's guidance, they took fewer detours. After the guidance, the cultivators left one after another. After a long time, it was finally Xuanji's turn. Xuanji, you have top qualifications. I won't say much about other things. I just want to remind you of one thing. Take less pills to improve your cultivation. Medicines are 3/4 poison. I hope you don't compete with others in speed, but in foundation. Without taking pills, your cultivation speed will be slower, but you will win in stability and a deep foundation. Strong people are not afraid of slow speed, but they are afraid of insufficient foundation. The faster the speed in the early stage, the slower the later stage. The ancestor reminded, as if thinking of some bad memories. The existence of pills makes many cultivators accustomed to krypton gold to improve their cultivation. There are people who reach the peak of key training at the age of 20, the peak of key training at the age of 30, and then take the foundation building pill to become a foundation building cultivator. Such geniuses can be called Xuanji. However, what's the use? What's the use of being fast in the early stage? If the foundation is unstable in the later stage, there is no hope for the Purple Palace and the Golden Pill. A more solid foundation in the early stage can at least reduce the loss of resources in the later stage. After everyone left, 3 people appeared in the lobby. They were Lu Xuans, Lu Yanping, and Lu Xiaoqin, who were killed not long ago. Remember, from today on, the 3 of you are dead. Don't ever set foot in Qingshu County again. Go away, the ancestor said coldly. After all, they are clan members. It's impossible to help relatives and not help others. However, from today on, they will hide their identities and enter social death. Chapter 14. Those who plant trees will enjoy the shade. After bidding farewell to the ancestor, Lu Xuanji resumed his normal life. At the foot of the mountain, he opened up a spiritual field and planted spiritual rice. After entering the 3rd level of key training, the area of the spiritual field expanded and became 300 acres. 100 acres were planted with spiritual rice, and 200 acres were planted with spiritual medicine. About half of the spiritual medicine and spiritual rice planted were handed over to the family, and the rest were his own. There was still a little spiritual rice, which was harvested once every 3 months. But spiritual medicine, it takes 10 years to harvest once. During the 10 years, it needs to be carefully cared for to prevent the spiritual medicine from necrosis and spiritual insects from eroding. The spiritual medicine planted has a very low age, mainly to prepare for the future refining of low-level elixirs. Some families plant spiritual medicines, which take decades, hundreds of years, or even thousands of years to mature. It takes a long time and a long planting cycle, but it is inevitable. Only in this way can there be sufficient spiritual medicines for alchemy if it is cultivated continuously. If it is only obtained from the wild, it is neither stable nor safe. It is like when the Lu family was founded 1,000 years ago, they began to cultivate a large number of chalcedony. It takes 300 years for purple jade to mature, but because the Lu family cultivated it early, they immediately distributed it after each harvest. To achieve sustainable development, on average, they harvested once every 20 years and started to refine the foundation building pill. Because the medicinal materials can be self-sufficient, the price of the Lu family's foundation building pill dropped from 15,000 spirit stones to 10,000 spirit stones. As long as you enter the 9th level of key training before the age of 60 and have enough contribution points, most people can buy the foundation building pill. This policy has led to the number of foundation building cultivators in the Lu family being maintained at more than 20. There are foundation building cultivators in every generation, and strong people have emerged in the family. The excess foundation building pills can also be sold to other cultivators at a high price. This is what it means to plant trees for future generations to enjoy the shade. The previous generation may not enjoy welfare benefits, but future generations will definitely enjoy welfare benefits. Feeling the deeds of his predecessors, Xuanji also opened up an acre of land, scattered the seeds of chalcedony mushroom in it, and took good care of it. If he could live to be 300 years old, he would wait until the moment when the chalcedony mushroom matured. Time passed, calmly and peacefully. 4 years later, the aura on Xuanji's body changed again, and he was already at the 4th level of key training. At this time, he was already 22 years old. 4th level of key training. Xuanji walked out of the cave and walked near Xiang. There were a large number of family disciples practicing here, opening up spiritual fields and planting spiritual rice. However, most of them were not highly cultivated, only at the 3rd level of key training, and some were at the 4th level of key training. An old man was already 80 years old, but because of the 5 spiritual roots, he was only at the 3rd level of key training. There were many such people in the family. The gap between people is greater than the gap between people and dogs. Xuanji looked at these people and couldn't help saying, efforts are often useless. Even if a person with 5 spiritual roots works hard and is determined, he can only reach the 5th level of key training at the moment of his death. Unless he has a small green bottle like Han Peo Peo. Or, he has a top level cave with unlimited spiritual medicine as support. In the family, there are more than 1,000 cultivators with 5 spiritual roots. In the world of cultivation, cultivators with 5 spiritual roots account for 80% of the cultivator population. The bottom is always the most. Looking at those humble cultivators with 5 spiritual roots, Xuanji secretly felt lucky. Fortunately, they awakened to 3 spiritual roots, which have important cultivation value in the family, and are cultivated as foundation building seeds. If it is 5 spiritual roots, they will choose to give up directly. 4 spiritual roots are also in a semi-abandoned state. In the family, in the distribution of foundation building pills, 3 spiritual roots are given priority, followed by 4 spiritual roots. As for 5 spiritual roots, no family is willing to give foundation building pills. After arriving at the medicinal garden, he made a round of inspection and cleared the weeds. Then he went to the spiritual field and started weeding, loosening the soil, applying fertilizer, etc. After being busy for half a day, in the afternoon, he returned to the cave and began to practice. Suddenly, his head was dizzy, and he fell asleep. Hoo. After a long time, Xuanji opened his eyes, but his body was slightly numb. Some of his acupoints and meridians were sealed, and he could not use magic. Not only that, he was sitting upright on a chair with ropes tied around his body. These ropes were easily broken at ordinary times. But when the acupoints and meridians were sealed, he had no power to resist. Looking up, he saw a familiar person. Ancestor, why did you bring me here? Xuanji asked. The familiar person was Lu fuming. I don't know why this purple mansion ancestor tied him here, but he felt uneasy. I'm sorry. At this moment, the purple mansion ancestor of the Lu family had a complicated expression, with ferocity, fear, uneasiness, and guilt. Xuanji was feeling more and more uneasy. An old ancestor at the 8th level of the Purple Mansion, kneeling in front of a cultivator at the 4th level of key training and saying sorry, was very strange, and there was fear in his uneasiness. Ancestor, what are you going to do? Xuanji asked, his voice trembling. His intuition told him that the old ancestor was in danger. I failed. The old ancestor said, I was originally a genius. When I was 6 years old, I was diagnosed with 2 spiritual roots of wood and fire, with wood as the main and fire as the auxiliary. Wait a minute, the old ancestor didn't have 3 spiritual roots, wasn't it wood, fire and gold? How did it become 2 spiritual roots? Xuanji asked in confusion. That's deceiving outsiders. The old ancestor laughed contemptuously. Since the establishment of the Lu family for thousands of years, there have only been 3 cultivators with 2 spiritual roots. Who would be so stupid as to say that I have 2 spiritual roots, which would attract the jealousy of outside cultivators, and there would be all kinds of calculations and assassinations. Xuanji was speechless. That's right, if you can't hide your genius, you would have been beaten to death long ago. However, the attributes of spiritual roots can be hidden, but there are some things that cannot be hidden, that is, the speed of cultivation. As long as the speed of cultivation is used, the attributes of spiritual roots can be deduced. The ancestor said, back then, I established my foundation at the age of 23, and became a Purple Mansion cultivator at the age of 100. I was so full of energy that I thought I could become a golden core ancestor. Speaking of the past, the ancestor was beaming with joy and was very proud. Ancestor, you established your foundation at the age of 23, which is really amazing. I'm much inferior to you. I'm already 22 years old, but I'm only at the 4th level of key training. I'm far inferior to you. Xuanji said, somewhat envious of the 2nd spiritual root. The gap between people is greater than the gap between people and dogs. The gap between the 2nd spiritual root and the 3rd spiritual root is greater than the gap between a noble and a beggar. Are you envious? I'm not envious at all. On the contrary, I regret it extremely. The ancestor said, I reached the Purple Mansion realm when I was just over 100 years old. I thought I could become a golden core patriarch and bring honor to my family. Unfortunately, I was too fast in the early stage and consumed my potential. I also took too many elixirs, which left a lot of elixir poison in my body, which was difficult to eliminate. The elixir poison settled in the body and affected the speed of cultivation. I entered the Purple Mansion realm at the age of 100, but was only at the 8th level of Purple Mansion at the age of 350. If there is a regret medicine in life, and I can live my life again, I will build my own foundation at the age of 50, enter the Purple Mansion at the age of 120, and strive for the golden core at the age of 300. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 5 Laws of Possession. At this moment, a trace of madness flashed across the old ancestor's expression. Life cannot be repeated, but one can possess another's body. Junior, are you willing to be possessed by another and fulfill my wish? No. Xuanji felt cold in his heart, but he still planned to struggle and resist. Ancestor, I only have 3 spiritual roots. It would be a big loss for you to possess my body. If you want to possess my body, you should possess the body of the 2nd spiritual root, the heavenly spiritual root. Xuanji advised, you will lose a lot if you possess my body. Possessing a body also has its own rules. Possessing a body essentially means erasing the will in the soul, and then merging the possessed soul with the soul in the body, replacing the old wine in a new bottle, to deceive the heaven and earth. The ancestor smiled and said, there are 5 laws of possession, and no one can violate them. First, a cultivator can only possess a body once in his life. The 2nd time is certain to die. Second, only Purple Mansion cultivators, or even higher realms, can possess a body. Third, at the moment of possession, the attributes must match. Fourth, after possession, there will be a mismatch between the soul and the body. This mismatch cannot be seen at a low level. But at the moment of impacting the nascent soul realm, the heavenly tribulation is twice as fierce as the normal tribulation. Most cultivators who possess a body cannot achieve the nascent soul, because the heavenly tribulation is too fierce. It is destined that the cultivators who can possess other people's bodies can only be purple mansion cultivators and golden core cultivators. Those who are too weak to practice ki and establish foundation, and their spirits are too weak to possess other people's bodies, but nascent soul cultivators are the strongest, and do not bother to possess other people's bodies. Fifth, after possessing other people's bodies, your luck will be extremely bad, and you will encounter all kinds of misfortunes and disasters. Having said this, the old ancestor sighed and said, the method of possessing other people's bodies goes against the way of heaven, and is not allowed by the laws of heaven and earth. If it is possible, I don't want to possess other people's bodies, but I was seriously injured, and dying in this beast tide, and my lifespan is less than 10 years. But I don't want to die, and I still want to achieve golden core, so I can only inconvenience you. I have observed you for 4 years. My spiritual roots are fire and wood, and your spiritual roots are fire, wood and earth. Your attributes match mine. You only have 3 spiritual roots, but your cultivation speed is no worse than those with 2 spiritual roots. You must have a special physique to benefit from possessing other people's bodies, so I won't lose out. After I take over your body, there will no longer be Lu fuming in the world, only Lu Xuanji. Your father is my father, your mother is my mother. I will take good care of them, and treat them as real relatives. The ancestor said, I'm sorry. Lu Xuanji was about to explain, but the next moment his head was dizzy, and he fell asleep. I'm sorry. The ancestor said ashamedly. There was no way to take over the body in this world. But since the invasion of the extraterritorial demons, the method of taking over the body was born. According to legend, when attacking the Yuanying's engine, there will be demons coming to interfere with the tribulation and take over the body of the cultivator. If the extraterritorial demon succeeds in taking over the body, it will be integrated into the laws of this world, transformed into a local creature, and start a new life. If the extraterritorial demon fails to take over the body, it will become the food of the Yuanying's engine and promote his cultivation. After knocking Lu Xuanji unconscious, the ancestor sat upright on the bed, practicing the skills, and his soul suddenly left his body, turned into a stream of light, and entered Lu Xuanji's sea of consciousness. He began to erase his spiritual wisdom. The wisdom belonging to Lu Xuanji was wiped out bit by bit. At the same time, the soul of the ancestor began to merge into the soul of Lu Xuanji and became one. At that time, they would return to the original state. The plan was being completed bit by bit, and the possession was continuing, and it would succeed. At this moment, grey light flashed, eroding the soul of the ancestor, and erasing the soul of the ancestor. No, what is this? This is the soul treasure. Impossible, I checked. There is no treasure in his soul. Damn, this magic weapon is of a high grade, and it actually deceived me. No, I won't accept it. The ancestor fought back, but the next moment the grey light eroded, like boiling water poured into the snow. The white snow was melting rapidly. In just a moment, the soul was completely destroyed, and turned into light spots. At this moment, the light spots merged into the soul, nourishing Lu Xuanji's soul. In a daze, Lu Xuanji suddenly heard a voice. It seemed to be coming from a mobile phone. Dear, virus is invading. Do you want to start antivirus? If the host does not answer, the phone will automatically start antivirus sequencing. In the process of antivirus is completed. The virus has been removed. Please rate the antivirus software here. 1 star is very bad. 2 stars are unsatisfactory. 3 stars are average. 4 stars are very good. And 5 stars are very satisfied. A voice came from the phone. Lu Xuanji opened his eyes drowsily and looked at the ancestor. This ancestor had no breath and had fallen. Lu Xuanji felt a slight pain in his head, and a strong soul power was radiating, like a tsunami, and the soul power was forcibly increased by more than 50%. The ancestor failed to seize the body. It turned out to be the phone. Lu Xuanji said thankfully. 5-star praise. He gave the best evaluation directly on the phone. Thank you for your evaluation. Welcome to continue using it. The phone returned to calm. The acupuncture points and meridians on Lu Xuanji's body have been untied. He gently urged the force and broke free from the rope. Looking at the body of the ancestor, Lu Xuanji's expression was slightly complicated. The ancestor failed to seize the body, and his soul was cleared by the mobile phone, leaving only a part of the essence to merge into the soul, which also led to a significant increase in his soul power. This world is a bit dangerous. Xuanji took a deep breath. This ancestor has contributed to the family all his life, and he is selfless, and can be said to be a good person. But before he died, he was afraid of death and thought of seizing the body of his descendants. If he hadn't had a mobile phone and cleaned the virus in time, he would have been seized by someone else and become someone else's wedding dress. Suppressing all kinds of thoughts, Xuanji began to search in the cave, looking for some treasures. The cave seemed very poor, without any extra decorations, without too many embellishments, and was extremely simple. There were only some books placed on the bookshelf. Xuanji went forward and flipped through it. There was a golden elixir method called King Chang Shengju, which could be practiced to the 3rd level of the golden elixir. As for the purple mansion method, there were about 5 books. There were 20 books on the foundation building method. There were also some travel notes, practice notes, etc. There were also some elixir recipes, some refining notes, etc. There were about 130 books, all of which were put into the storage bag. Xuanji took a photo with his mobile phone and saved it in the document management. He found a storage bag on the ancestor's waist, which was about 100 cubic meters in area. Inside was a 3rd grade flying sword, a 3rd grade shield, rare refining materials, 3rd grade elixirs, etc., as well as spiritual medicine seeds, spiritual rice seeds, 300,000 spiritual stones, and some other things. There were a lot of things scattered here and there. Chapter 16. The Great Elder. Some things cannot be taken. For example, the 3rd grade flying sword, the 3rd grade shield, etc. are the iconic magic weapons of the ancestor. If they are taken away and discovered by outsiders, it will be difficult to explain. Moreover, the grade of the 3rd grade flying sword is too high, and Xuanji is unable to activate it. It is also a disaster to hold it in his hand. Other elixirs cannot be taken either, and their origins cannot be explained. In the storage bag, there are 300,000 spiritual stones. Xuanji directly took away 10,000 spiritual stones. He took away 3 talismans, which are of the 3rd grade. Xuanji took a deep breath, suppressed the greed in his heart, and only took away 10,000 spiritual stones and 3 talismans, and turned and left. He did not take other things. To survive in the world of cultivation, the first principle is to suppress the greed in your heart. The news of the ancestor's death cannot be hidden for long. Part of the ancestor's legacy will be given to the ancestor's descendants, and part will be left to the family. Taking away 10,000 spiritual stones and 3 talismans is not a big problem, even if it is exposed. It can also be said that it was a reward from the ancestor, and everyone has nothing to say. But once the various precious treasures disappeared from the ancestor's storage bag, the whole family would definitely investigate with all their strength, interrogate and question him, and even use the god-asking talisman. At that time, he might be exposed. But now, he only took away 10,000 spirit stones and 3 talismans. Compared with the valuable items in the storage bag, it was very insignificant, and the family might not investigate. It's like a family in the previous life who might call the police if they lost tens of thousands of yuan, but they were too lazy to look for a few dollars. Trouble. Xuanji arrived at the door of the cave and felt that there was a foundation building elder outside guarding the door. He was meditating 100 meters away. Ancestor, the 8th level of the purple mansion can silently evade the detection of the foundation building elder, but I can't. Fortunately, there is an invisibility talisman. Xuanji took out a talisman and stuck it on his body. Suddenly, his breath disappeared and his figure disappeared. He walked out of the cave and left silently. From beginning to end, the foundation building elder did not notice anything. Xuanji felt relieved after returning to the cave. Time passed, and before he knew it, 5 years had passed. The cave of the ancestor was still closed, and no one knew that the ancestor had passed away. As for the huge benefits that Xuanji had obtained silently, no one knew about it. He just practiced quietly, planted spiritual medicine, and slowly and steadily improved his cultivation. After the meditation, Xuanji opened his eyes, and a trace of melancholy flashed in his eyes. I'm 26 years old. According to the rules of the family, I should go down the mountain to perform some tasks. The family does not support idle people. Now that I have the cultivation of the 5th level of key training, I can save my life, even if I cannot defeat some strong enemies. Walking out of the cave, Xuanji went to the law enforcement hall. It is called the law enforcement hall, but it is actually the cave of the great elder Lu Xianyi. The Lu family seems to be a big family, but in fact there are only more than 1,500 cultivators. The number of cultivators is small, and they will see each other every day. The law enforcement hall, alchemy hall, weapon hall, etc. are established and the family are all scattered. Most cultivators are either busy farming, carrying out missions, or practicing in seclusion. In fact, there are not many trivial things to do. When he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he saw the elder in seclusion. Xuanji waited patiently. After a while, the elder opened the cave and said with a smile, "Xuanji is here, come in." "Thank you, elder." Xuanji was not polite and went directly into the elder's cave. In the cave, there are rooms one after another, including a study, an elixir room, a spring pool, etc. Fist-sized night pearls are inlaid on the walls for lighting, emitting a soft light at this moment. Night pearls are precious items in the mortal world, but they are just mundane objects for lighting in the world of immortal cultivation. In the alchemy room, there is an alchemy furnace as high as a person, with underground fire below, which can be used to refine elixirs. There is also spring water that is led here, which can be used for washing and refining elixirs. The furnishings here are quite luxurious, far from comparable to the cave, where Xuanji is. Not bad, not bad. Without the help of external objects, at the age of only 26, he has entered the 5th level of key training. This speed is a bit terrifying. The great elder Lu Xianyi looked at Xuanji with a flash of admiration. Before the ancestor went into seclusion, he had instructed the clan leader and the great elder to treat Xuanji with great favor, because Xuanji had the talent of Purple Mansion. The influence of a Purple Mansion cultivator is better than that of 10 Foundation Establishment cultivators. It's a pity that Purple Mansion is difficult to achieve. To achieve the Purple Mansion realm, at least 2 spiritual roots are required. Although Xuanji has 3 spiritual roots, he seems to have a special physique, and his cultivation speed is not inferior to that of 2 spiritual roots. This is all the credit of the family's support. If it weren't for the family, how could I be where I am today? Xuanji said. I'm looking forward to the day when you become a Purple Mansion cultivator and bring honor to the family. The great elder said, according to the rules of the family, after practicing in Xiang Mountain for 20 years, you have to carry out some missions. Because you have outstanding qualifications, you can actually be an exception, but the only thing I plan to do is whether or not to do so. Do you know why? To keep a low profile. Xuanji said, a genius who has not grown up is nothing. The clan leader plans to treat me as an ordinary disciple, to hide the attention of some people and give me time to grow. The great elder said, Xuanji, you are old, and I don't want to hide some things from you. The situation of the family is not good, because the ancestor is recuperating, and there are rumors outside that the ancestor has fallen. Many forces are ready to move, want to take a bite of my Lu family. The situation of my Lu family is very bad, very bad. A trace of worry flashed across Xuanji, and he touched his chin subconsciously and said, Great Elder, doesn't the Danliang sect uphold justice? My Lu family pays a large amount of tribute to the Danliang sect every year. The Danliang sect will naturally uphold justice. Otherwise, those forces would not be ready to make a move, but would come directly to destroy the family. The elder said, but the Danliang sect only maintains the general order. As for some specific matters, it will not, and cannot always speak for my Lu family. The ancestor is seriously injured, and is about to die. No matter what, my Lu family does not have the confidence to do things. Xuanji was also silent. As long as there is no big fight, the Danliang sect will not care. As long as the face is acceptable, the Danliang sect will not take action. Let's not talk about this. You are still too young. It's useless to say this. The most important thing for you is to develop steadily. We old guys are not dead yet, and we don't need you to fight and kill. The elder smiled and said, by the way, you can go to Dandayang County to measure the spiritual roots of the children. If there are spiritual roots, remember to bring them back. By the way, walk around more in the mortal world. Cultivating immortals is not just about seclusion and hard work, but also about the ways of the world. Chapter 17 Testing Spiritual Roots. Measuring spiritual roots is not difficult, but it is quite tedious. The population of Qingshu County is not concentrated, and small villages of 400 or 500 people are everywhere, so you need to go to many places. If you go to more remote places, you may be able to add a few cultivators to the family. The Lu family is not picky, and 5 spiritual roots are not despised, and 4 spiritual roots are also good. This is for you, the elder said, taking out 3 talismans and handing them over. The ancestor has rewarded me with some talismans. Lu Xuanji said. I know, but the ancestor is the ancestor's, and I'm mine. The elder warned. I won't say much about the rest, but you must remember that, if things are impossible, remember to run away. It's not shameful to run away, and it's possible to live. A dead genius is not a genius. Yes. Lu Xuanji hesitated for a moment, and took the talisman from the elder. The 3 talismans are all 2nd grade, and they have a certain degree of damage to foundation building cultivators. They can be used to save lives, when they are used at critical moments. After bidding farewell to the great elder, Lu Xuanji left Xiang Mountain and headed for Dandayang County. Dandayang County has a population of about 300,000, and more than half of the population is scattered in various small mountain villages around the county seat, and the population distribution is extremely uneven. What Lu Xuanji has to do is to walk around the county seat and various small mountain villages to find children with spiritual roots. Testing spiritual roots is a big deal for the Lu family. According to the rules, spiritual roots must be tested at the age of 6, but many people have wasted time for various reasons. Every year, some people are missed. While testing children, the missed people must also be tested. Opening the map, they arrived at a small village. Lu Xuanji greeted the village chief, beating gongs and drums continuously, and the villagers were gathering, but some villagers were still farming in the fields. After a while, people gathered one after another. The village chief said, the immortal master is here to test the spiritual roots. As long as your child has spiritual roots, no taxes will be collected every year, and 10 stones of grain will be subsidized. Come on, adults, bring your children to test their spiritual roots. Lu Xuanji took out a black stone, put it on the table and said, come one by one, children line up, put your palms on the stone, and stay for 10 breaths. As long as the black stone shines, it means that there is a spiritual root. Your family will not have to collect grain, and 10 stones of grain will be subsidized every year. Children come first, adults can touch it too. The village chief maintained order, and the children came forward to line up noisily. One child after another put their palms on the stone, and soon 30 children were monitored, but none of them had spiritual roots. Lu Xuanji was very disappointed, but he still put away the stone and went to another village. He ran to 8 villages in 3 days and tested more than 300 children, but none of them had spiritual roots. This probability is a bit low. It's not a big deal. Lu Xuanji was speechless. He was very excited when he started the test, but gradually became a little numb. After walking for half a month, no child had spiritual roots. The work was not tiring, but a little irritating. On the 18th day, Lu Xuanji went to a village to test. Suddenly, the stone glowed. Not bad, not bad. Lu Xuanji was slightly excited. It was finally a good start. Your child has spiritual roots. I'm going to take him away. Here is the certificate. With the certificate, your family can be tax-free and enjoy a subsidy of 100 stones of grain. He took out the certificate prepared in advance and gave it to the child's father. Thank you, master. The child's parents were old farmers. Although they were illiterate, they were still excited when they looked at the certificate. Lu Xuanji instructed the village chief for a while and took the child into the small dark room. He took out 8 crystal balls to test the attributes. The child pressed his palm on them, and the light balls lit up one after another. What a pity, it's 5 spiritual roots. Lu Xuanji felt a little sorry. 5 spiritual roots, The value of cultivation is not great, and it may be the limit, to work hard for a lifetime to become the 5th level of key training, and there is no hope of building a foundation. The family will not give foundation building pills extravagantly. However, the 5 spiritual roots are still worth cultivating. At least they can plant spiritual fields, do some chores, make elixirs, refine tools, etc., and contribute to the family. If these low-level cultivators did not work hard, how could the high-level cultivators have time to practice? The 5 spiritual roots are very poor, but at least it is a good start. He left with the child and arrived at Danayang County, where he settled down. He went to the nearby villages for testing again. Time passed day by day. Soon 2 months passed, and the testing was completed for more than 9 levels. Only 4 children had spiritual roots, 3 with 5 spiritual roots, and 1 with 4 spiritual roots. There are still 3 or 5 days before the test ends, but only 4 are detected in one county, which is too few. Xuanji was speechless. He walked towards a village. He couldn't help laughing in his heart, and he also became Suyanteo. Cultivation is too difficult. Without spiritual roots, you can only become a mortal. As for mortals who want to become stronger, they can only embark on the road of martial arts. The martial arts in this world are divided into body refining, acquired, and innate. In the realm of physical training, even the weakest key training level 1 cannot be defeated. Acquired warriors can only compete with key training level 1 at most, while innate warriors can compete with key training level 3. The upper limit of martial arts is too low. In the previous life, hard work can change fate, but in this world, hard work is based on spiritual roots. Without spiritual roots, no matter how much effort you put in, it is useless. Even if you have spiritual roots, but the spiritual roots are not good, your future is limited. A certain big man was reborn with the experience of cultivation in his previous life, but if he was reborn with 5 spiritual roots, he would also fall in obscurity. Thinking of this, Xuanji secretly rejoiced in his heart that he had a good start with 3 spiritual roots. If he had started with 5 spiritual roots like some online articles, he might really be a waste. As he walked, a mountain village gradually came into view. The mountain village was very small, with about dozens of households. The village head was located in a small river valley. It was the autumn harvest season at this moment. In some villages, farmers were busy in the fields. It was not the right time to come. Xuanji muttered in his heart that many farmers were harvesting in the fields and had no time to check their spiritual roots. Checking spiritual roots is very important to the Lu family, but for many low-level people, it is not important at all. After all, they have been checking for more than 10 years, but there is no one with spiritual roots in the village. After a long time, many people have lost hope. Even Xuanji came here subconsciously when he arrived in this village, which was considered to be fulfilling his duty. As for the birth of children with spiritual roots in this village, there is little hope. When he arrived at the village in trance and sat down under the big tree, Xuanji took out the teacup and teapot, poured himself a cup of tea, drank the tea and waited patiently, but was absent-minded, thinking about other things, thinking about the spiritual medicines and spiritual rice at home. Before leaving, he entrusted a cultivator of the family to look after it. But after all, he was not looking after it himself, and he was worried. In the family, spiritual rice is the most stable income. PS. The second update is here. Please give me a monthly ticket, a reward, a recommendation ticket, and a follow-up reading. Chapter 18. Area, the spiritual root. In the afternoon, people came back one after another. Come, check your spiritual roots. Xuanji called the villagers and put a black stone at the entrance of the village. Come, check your spiritual roots. As long as you have spiritual roots, your family will be exempted from grain tax, and there will be a 10-stone grain subsidy every year. He kept calling and shouting, as if he was doing a pyramid scheme. A child was curious and went up to touch the stone directly. Xuanji called the village chief, maintained order, and lined up for testing. The children came one after another, but most of them did not have spiritual roots. Can I? Just then, an adult man said. Xuanji looked at him speechlessly. Uncle, you are already over 30 years old, and you are still joining Xuanji in the fun. But when he opened his mouth, he said, yes. The uncle went up to test, but there was no light. What a pity. Xuanji felt a little sorry. A few more uncles touched curiously, but there was no light. Although it was expected, there was still a hint of disappointment. He packed up the tea set and was about to leave. You damn girl, I'll beat you to death. Woo woo woo. If you run again. Woo woo woo. Just then, a 13-year-old girl was running, wearing tattered clothes, running in a panic. Behind her was a woman holding a stick and chasing her. She quickly caught up with the girl and beat her all over. Bang bang. The woman started to fight, showing no mercy at all. The girl cried and struggled on the spot, with fear in her eyes, but she didn't beg for mercy. Sister-in-law, if you beat people like this, be careful not to hurt them. Xuanji couldn't stand it anymore and spoke directly. Who are you, and why do you want to meddle in other people's business? The woman said. Her words were very fierce, but when she saw the Immortal Master's dress, her tone softened immediately. Immortal Master, this is my child bride. This girl stole food, so I have to beat her. I didn't steal food, the girl said stubbornly. Xuanji was speechless. In the mortal world, some systems of feudal society are maintained. In the mortal world, women have a very low status. Many families give birth to girls, but because they cannot afford to raise them, they drown the babies directly. Some families cannot afford to raise girls, so they give them away directly. The girl grows up in that family, and when she grows up, she becomes the daughter-in-law of the boy in that family. This is called a child bride. As for the mother-in-law beating the daughter-in-law, it is also natural. He really can't interfere with these things. That girl, I see that you haven't tested your spiritual roots. Come here to test it. Xuanji said. The families with child brides and girls all come out to check. Girls, what are you testing for? Girls, do you still want to cultivate immortality? Women are virtuous without talent. Men can't do it. How can women do it? Some villagers chattered and seemed to be very dissatisfied with the girls' testing. In big towns, many people are well informed and let their girls go for testing, but in remote and backward villages, they are very resistant to the testing of girls. Even though they are resistant, there are still girls who come out for testing. About 15 girls came out and lined up for the test. Xuanji sat there carelessly, waiting to leave after the end. Suddenly, the black stone lit up. Xuanji looked at it intently. It was the girl who was beaten by the mother-in-law with a stick. At this moment, she put her palm on it, but the black stone was lit. Not bad, you have spiritual roots. Stand aside. Xuanji was casual, not very happy. Maybe it was another one with 5 spiritual roots. Then, other girls came forward to check, and the remaining 14 had no spiritual roots. Not bad, at least they were not completely wiped out. Girl, come with me. Xuanji said lightly. No, she is my son's wife, she can't leave. The mother-in-law shouted. Haha. Xuanji smiled and directly wrote a certificate and handed it over. This is the certificate. With this certificate, your family is exempt from grain. Not only that, you will also get 10 stones of grain every year. Do you think this grain can be used to marry another daughter-in-law for your son? Yes. The mother-in-law happily took the certificate. Turning around, Xuanji said, Girl, what's your name? Oh yeah, that's your nickname. What's your full name? I don't have a full name. Forget it, I'll give you a name. Xuanji frowned and was about to give this girl a name, but he couldn't think of a good name for a while because he was bad at naming. Sir, do you want me to be your wife? The little girl asked. Haha, if you want to be my wife, you must have at least 3 spiritual roots. Xuanji said domineeringly. Little girl, let's go. As he said that, he took out a wooden horse from the storage bag. As he urged the true energy, the wooden horse immediately grew larger. The wooden horse was about 1.5 meters high and 2 meters wide, looking majestic and extraordinary. Xuanji stepped forward and carried the little girl, got on the wooden horse directly, hugged the child, and urged the wooden horse, and the wooden horse started running, with a speed of 50 meters per second, running away into the distance, leaving only the villagers who exclaimed, "Ah!" The little girl exclaimed, seeming a little scared, but also seemed to be happy. The wooden horse is a low-level talisman, which only needs 10 spirit stones. About half an hour later, they arrived at Danayang County. The wooden horse stopped and became smaller. Lu Xuanji put it into his storage bag. Do you like it? Lu Xuanji asked with a smile. I like it. The little girl said. When you become a fairy master, you can also buy the wooden horse. Lu Xuanji patted her head and killed her, and took the little girl into the county. In Danyang County, there is a cultivator of the 9th level of key training, and there are some other cultivators in the family, who hold some official positions in the county, to maintain order in the city. Walking, they arrived at the north courtyard of the county. In the courtyard, there are 4 children living, and now there is one more. After the test is over, I will take the children with spiritual roots to Xiang Mountain. Oh yeah, test the spiritual root attributes. In the small dark room, Lu Xuanji called out that he would conduct an attribute test. There were 8 light balls on the table, representing gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, and ice. Oya was slightly nervous and pressed her palm on the golden light ball, but after waiting for 10 breaths, the light ball did not light up. Seeing that the light ball did not light up, Oya was so nervous that she was about to cry, thinking that her grades were very bad. She cried and said, "Am I very bad?" "No, you are not bad. Continue." Lu Xuanji smiled. The golden light ball did not light up, which proved that Oya had at least 4 spiritual roots. Oya put her palm on the wood attribute light ball again, and persisted for 10 breaths, but it still did not light up. She thought that she was very bad, and this time she really cried. Click, click. Lu Xuanji did not laugh, but he was happy in his heart. This girl, at least has 3 spiritual roots. Not bad, not bad. 3 spiritual roots are qualified to be my wife. Then, he pressed on the 3rd light ball, and it still did not light up. Oya cried hard. Not bad. This is a 2nd spiritual root. Fuck, this is a 2nd spiritual root. Lu Xuanji's mind was confused. In the 1000-year history of the Lu family, only 3 2nd spiritual roots were born. 2nd spiritual roots are also called purple mansion seeds. Among the 10 2nd level spiritual root cultivators, 5 have entered the purple mansion realm. Oya pressed on the fire attribute light ball again, and the light ball was shining. Looking at the shining light ball, a smile appeared on her face. It seems that you are fire and earth. If fire is the main attribute and earth is the auxiliary attribute, you are the best among the 2 spiritual roots. If earth is the main attribute and fire is the auxiliary attribute, you are relatively poor among the 2 spiritual roots. Lu Xuanji commented. But even the worst 2nd level spiritual roots are still 2nd level spiritual roots. Oya put her palm on the last light ball, but the light ball did not shine. Lu Xuanji was stunned. Heavenly spiritual roots. Chapter 19 Choice. Oya didn't understand this, and continued to press on the remaining 3 light balls, but they still didn't light up. Oya, check again. Lu Xuanji said, maybe the light ball is faulty. Oya tested again, and still only 1 light ball was shining. As if she was worried, she tested it 5 times in a row, and it was still the same. Heavenly spiritual root. Completely confirmed. This is not a problem with the light ball, but it is really true. Lu Xuanji was stunned. It felt like a thunder was about to explode. Heavenly spiritual root is equivalent to the innate full soul power in the Daoluo world in the chaotic body in the world of the heaven covering. In the Daoluo world, as long as the innate full soul power does not fall halfway, the worst in the future is the soul Daoluo, and if you work harder, you can become a titled Daoluo. In the heaven covering world, as long as the chaotic body does not fall halfway, it will definitely become a great emperor in the future. As for a certain emperor saying that there is no invincible physique, only invincible strong people, and the mortal body is the strongest, it is just chicken soup for the soul, which can be used to hypnotize yourself for spiritual victory, but whoever takes it seriously is stupid. In the world of cultivation, spiritual roots are very important, especially the heavenly spiritual root, which can be called the Son of God. The heavenly spiritual root is very terrifying. It only takes 100 to 200 years for the heavenly spiritual root to become a giant and cultivator. Other cultivators will encounter various bottlenecks on the road of cultivation and need various elixirs such as foundation building pills, Xiang Jade, Liho Jade, and Giandan to break through the bottlenecks, but the heavenly spiritual root cultivators do not have bottlenecks before the nascent soul. Other cultivators need to consume a lot of resources to become Chindan, but the heavenly spiritual root only needs 1/2 to 1/3 of the resources of the cultivators of the same realm to enter the Chindan realm. The heavenly spiritual root has the characteristics of fast cultivation speed, no bottleneck before the nascent soul, and less resource consumption. As long as the heavenly spiritual root does not fall, it is almost inevitable to become a Chindan cultivator. But it is precisely because of this that almost half of the heavenly spiritual root cultivators fell halfway and were strangled by powerful enemies. Many hostile forces are thinking of ways to strangle the heavenly spiritual root. If the news that Araya has a heavenly spiritual root is leaked, there may be a powerful enemy tomorrow to come forward and destroy the family. The Lu family paid tribute to the Danliang sect, and the Danliang sect would protect the Lu family. But all this is based on the premise that there is no major conflict of interest. Once the conflict of interest is huge, there will still be forces that bypass the rules of the Danliang sect to attack the Lu family. It's a big trouble. Lu Xuanji's heart was in turmoil, a little panic, and a little at a loss. He opened a certificate, and it said that Araya has 3 spiritual roots: fire, wood, and earth. Handing over the certificate, Lu Xuanji said, "Araya, remember, you have 3 spiritual roots." "Yes." Araya nodded. "What are your parents' names?" Lu Xuanji asked. "They sold me to someone when I was young, and I don't have parents," the little girl said with resentment. Lu Xuanji was silent, not knowing what to say. The little girl still had some scars on her body, all of which were caused by her mother-in-law. She had resentment and a little gratitude for her mother-in-law's family. She resented them for beating her often, but she was also grateful. After all, her mother-in-law's family raised her. As for her parents, she had long forgotten them and didn't want to pay attention to them. Suppressing the impatience in his heart, Lu Xuanji continued to walk around to test the spiritual roots of children. Everything was the same as usual, as if nothing had happened. He used such behavior to cover up the appearance of natural spiritual roots. About a month later, the spiritual root test was over, and 2 more children were detected. With these 7 children, Lu Xuanji returned to Xiang Mountain. Not bad, not bad. There are 7 today. 5 children have 5 spiritual roots, 1 has 4 spiritual roots, and 1 has 3 spiritual roots. The elder smiled and said, including several other counties, there are about 32 children with spiritual roots. Not bad, not bad. This year's harvest is good. In the worst years of previous years, there were only 3 or 5. You can be their teacher. Teach them to read, write, identify acupoints and meridians, wash marrow and remove hair, etc. The elder arranged the plan. On the one hand, 3 years of compulsory education can be used to cultivate children's sense of family loyalty. On the other hand, it can also allow Lu Xuanji to have feelings with these children and rely on each other in the future. Grand Elder, I have something important to report. Lu Xuanji said. Please close the cave and activate the formation. Important. The Great Elder was slightly surprised, but he still closed the cave and activated the formation to isolate everything. Tell me, what happened? But someone was killed outside, and I need to clean up the mess. Grand Elder, when testing the spiritual roots this time, I found a girl with a natural spiritual root, a fire spiritual root. That's Araya. Lu Xuanji said. Natural spiritual roots, Araya. Damn. The Great Elder was horrified and threw the cup to the ground, and the cup broke on the spot. Hoo-hoo. The Great Elder didn't care about anything else and said with rapid breathing, really? Really? I tested it several times. Lu Xuanji said. Then check it again. The Great Elder made the decision directly. Soon, Araya came in. The Great Elder took out 8 crystal balls and tested them again. The result was conclusive, a fire spiritual root. I'll call Big Brother, the Great Elder said. With that, the Great Elder disappeared. After a while, the clan leader appeared. Is she the one with the heavenly spiritual root? Clan leader Lu Xianming asked. Yes, said the Great Elder. Clan leader Lu Xianming went forward to check, and after a long time sighed. It's a pity that she doesn't have the blood of my Lu family. Araya, Xuanji, you guys go down, said the Great Elder. No, Araya goes down, Xuanji stays, said the clan leader. Araya left like this. Only 3 people were left in the cave. Brother, this is a great fortune. The great elder Lu Xianyi said excitedly. Brother has already established 90% of the foundation, and the probability of impacting the purple mansion realm is only 1 layer. But if you send a child with the heavenly spiritual rooted Anyang, you will definitely get 2 pieces of Xiang Jade. Each piece of Xiang Jade has at least 3 layers of chance. 2 pieces means 6 layers. With 2 pieces of Xiang Jade, brother can achieve the purple mansion realm. Even if the ancestor sits in meditation, the Lu family will be safe and worry-free. Clan leader Lu Xianming was silent. Heavenly spiritual roots are popular everywhere. Sending her to Danyang sect and exchanging her for 2 pieces of Xiang Jade is not a problem. With 2 pieces of Xiang Jade, he has a good chance of achieving the purple palace. He is now at the 9th level of the foundation building stage, and he is already 190 years old. He will die in 30 years at most. But after achieving the purple palace, his lifespan will be increased to 480 years, and he can live for at least 200 years. Sending Araya to Danyang sect is good for the family and for him, which can be said to be the best of both worlds. But Lu Xianming hesitated. 7th brother, what if I become a purple mansion? My aptitude is limited. The 4th level of purple mansion is my limit. I'm not as good as Patriarch Lu Fuming. Lu Xianming said calmly, it is better to keep Araya in the Lu family. With the resources of the Lu family and Araya's talent, it will only take 200 years for Araya to enter the Golden Core realm. My Lu family is a Golden Core family. By then, with Araya's help, Xuanji will also have a great chance to enter the Golden Core realm. By then, the family may have dozens of foundation building cultivators, 5 or 6 purple mansion cultivators, and 2 golden core ancestors. Only then will the Lu family truly enter its heyday. Even the Danyang sect will have to look at the Lu family differently. This is much longer term than a one-time deal. Chapter 20, The Sacrifice of the Patriarch. But if there is no Xiang Jade, Big Brother will die in 30 years. Lu Xianyi said. Sitting, so be it, it's no big deal. Speaking of death, Lu Xianming looked calm, as if he was talking about a very ordinary little thing. Ask the world, who can not die? Even the Yuanying ancestors will turn into yellow earth after thousands of years. Cultivators are not afraid of death, but they are afraid of dying without value, and dying very aggrieved. Dying for the prosperity of the family seems to be quite good. For me, living 200 years more, or 200 years less is the same. For 2 pieces of Xiang Jade, in order to let me live 200 years more, I can't sacrifice the future of the Lu family. Big brother, you. Lu Xianyi said. Sometimes he hoped that his big brother would be more selfish. But it was precisely because of his big brother's selflessness that he became the patriarch of the family. Lu Xianming continued. Xuanji, what do you think? Clan leader, great elder, this is what I think. Lu Xuanji said, there are some things we can decide, but there are some things we can't decide. For example, the future of a person with a heavenly spiritual root is not something we can decide. Why not wait until 10 years later and let her make her own choice, whether to stay in the family or join the Danyang sect? We don't have the power to make choices for a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root. 10 years later, she will have grown up and have the power to choose. Clan leader Lu Xianming nodded and said, that's right, I'm selfish. Many times, forcibly keeping a person with a heavenly spiritual root may not be a good thing. After all, in terms of resources and other things, my Lu family is not as good as the Danyang sect. Staying in the Lu family itself is a waste of her time. She is already 13 years old. I can wait for 10 years. Thank you for your understanding, clan leader. Lu Xuanji said, but you have to hurry up. If Araya joins the Lu family, she will also become your Taoist partner. The clan leader warned. During these 5 years, you can cultivate your relationship. In this way, whether he joins the Danyang sect or stays in the Lu family, it will be good for you. In the world of cultivation, connections are very important. The clan leader warned and said something. Lu Xuanji listened and nodded frequently. Not long after, Lu Xuanji left and began to serve as a teacher, teaching 32 little guys. The youngest was only 6 years old, and the oldest was 13 years old. First, they took the marrow cleansing pill to clean their hair and marrow and improve their qualifications. Then they sent a set of boxing techniques from the mortal world to help them exercise their bodies. Then they taught them some knowledge about meridians and acupoints, as well as some common sense of cultivation and the basic knowledge of alchemy and refining. I don't ask for much proficiency, but I have to know the basic common sense. After becoming familiar with these, I taught them to meditate, guide the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the body, refine the first wisp of spiritual energy, enter the acupoints, wander in the meridians, settle in the danshan, and turn into true energy. As long as the first wisp of spiritual energy is refined, it is considered to be the beginning of key training. In the process of refining the first wisp of spiritual energy, the level of spiritual roots will be revealed. Without spiritual roots, it is destined to be impossible to complete this process. Only with spiritual roots can the first step be completed. 5 spiritual roots need 6 months, or even longer, to refine the first wisp of spiritual energy. 4 spiritual roots need 2 months. 3 spiritual roots only need 1 month. As for the second spiritual root and the heavenly spiritual root, Xuanji didn't know. But at the beginning, he spent 10 days to refine the first wisp of spiritual energy. But when it came to Araya, it only took 1 day to refine the first wisp of spiritual energy. Then, it only took 2 years to enter the first level of key training. When she graduated after 3 years, she was already at the peak of the middle stage of the first level of key training. Araya was not called Araya, but Yifiksu. Over the years, his mother often came to visit Xuanji and Yifiksu, saying some intimate words, giving some clothes, snacks and the like, and had already regarded her as a daughter-in-law. Yifiksu looked at him, and often flashed a blush and tenderness. In the eyes of the family cultivators, they both have 3 spiritual roots, a natural couple. After 3 years of study, Yifiksu also stayed in Xiang Mountain. She has the fire attribute, which is suitable for refining tools. She often reads some books and starts to refine some gadgets. Most of the time, she mainly practices in seclusion on the mountain, and her cave is close to Xuanji. She also helps Xuanji take care of the spiritual field, and they talk about some intimate words and some cultivation experiences. Time is passing, and in the blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. In the cave, Xuanji opened his eyes, and the breath of his whole body changed. After a long time, the breath converged, and he was already at the 7th level of key training. At this time, he was 36 years old. I have reached the 7th level of key training. According to the rules of the family, I can also go out to perform some tasks. Xuanji thought. Just after walking out of the cave, he met a woman with a beautiful face, long black hair, graceful figure, wearing a white dress, and an indescribable charm between her frowns and smiles. It was Yifiksu. In the past, Araya had a yellow face and muscles, like a little bean. But now she is graceful and indescribably beautiful. Brother, you are out of retreat. I'm out of retreat. I have gained a lot from this retreat. I have reached the 7th level of key training. Xuanji said, according to the family's rules, when you reach the 7th level of key training, you have to go out of town to perform some tasks. Brother, I want to go with you. Yifiksu said, I'm already at the 5th level of key training. I will not be a burden to you. Looking at the high-spirited woman, Xuanji smiled bitterly in his heart. Among the students of the same class, 10 years have passed. Many 5 spiritual roots are still at the 1st level of key training. A few 4 spiritual roots and 3 spiritual roots have entered the 2nd level of key training, but Yifiksu has entered the 5th level of key training. It is almost an average of 2 or 3 years to improve 1 level. At this rate, she may soon catch up with him, or even surpass him. Ancient books once described the terrifying growth rate of the heavenly spiritual roots, but when they really faced it, there was only a faint sense of wonder and fear. Being a fellow Taoist with a natural spiritual root is a blessing, but being an enemy with a natural spiritual root is simply a nightmare. Fiksu, you are already 23 years old, and you are already a grown-up girl. I want to tell you something that I didn't want to talk about in the past. Xuanji said, 10 years ago, the clan leader and the great elder were faced with a choice. Should they send you to the Dandayang sect, or stay in the Lu family? Now, you are already an adult, and it's time to make a choice. Chapter 21. Foreign enemies attack. Yifixu touched her long hair subconsciously and asked leisurely, brother, what do you think? Do you want me to go to Danliang sect or stay in Lu family? I can't decide anything for you. It all depends on you. Lu Xuanji said, the disadvantage of staying in Lu family is that Lu family has few resources, and the resources provided are certainly not as good as those of Danliang sect. The 9 heavens flame art given to you can only be cultivated to the 3rd level of purple mansion. You need to find the next skills. But if you stay in Lu family, you can become the head of Lu family in the future, and half of the resources of the family will be at your disposal. Our Lu family is small, but there are few troubles. The whole family is united and wants to carry forward the Lu family, so the internal friction is relatively less. Join Danliang sect, you can get a lot of resources, as well as top skills, and you may even become a disciple of Giant and Patriarch. But the disadvantage is that Danliang sect has many factions, and the internal fighting is fierce, and accidents may happen at any time. The Lu family has only one foundation building elder in Danliang sect, and cannot give you too much support. Naturally, stay in Lu family. Yifixu said, I have a natural spiritual root, and it takes less resources to advance to the golden core. There is not much difference between staying in the Lu family and staying in the Danliang sect. Why should I fall into the vortex just for the sake of some resources? The Lu family treats me well, and it is extremely safe here. There are some purple mansion cultivators in the Danliang sect who are about to die, and there are also golden core cultivators who are very old. If I enter there, I'm afraid that I will be possessed and lose myself. Natural spiritual roots have very low demand for resources. There is no need to join the Danliang sect. The Danliang sect is not safe either. For many cultivators who are about to die, or are seriously injured and dying, possessing a natural spiritual root is the best place to stay. Possession also has its own rules. Cultivators above the nascent soul stage disdain to possess others, because the nascent soul true lord can already pry the laws of heaven and earth, and enter the cycle of reincarnation. After a tribulation, there is no need to possess others. Possession is mainly done by golden core cultivators and purple mansion cultivators. The cultivators who are also possessed are mainly in the key training stage. The key training stage cultivators have weak spirits and souls, and are the easiest to possess others. But when the foundation building cultivators have strong spirits, it is difficult for the spirits to merge with the body after taking possession of the body, and they repel each other and become inharmonious. After taking possession of the body to build the foundation, it is difficult to enter the Purple Palace realm. When the upper dungeon is opened in the Purple Palace realm, the spirits are strong, and it is no longer possible to take possession of the body. The cultivators in the key training stage are the most dangerous. Also among the cultivators in the key training stage, those with 4 or 5 spiritual roots are the safest, because their qualifications are poor, and it is not worth taking possession of the body. Only those with 3 or 2 spiritual roots and different spiritual roots are more dangerous. If they are in the Danliang sect, they have a big background and a big backer, and those old cultivators dare not take possession of the body. For example, Yifixu, who has no big background and a big backer, and is a cultivator with a natural spiritual root, entering the Danliang sect is like a wolf entering a tiger's mouth. If she is not careful, she will become someone else's wedding dress. Of course, it is also possible that she is wrong. The ancestors of the Danliang sect are upright, noble, and care for the younger generation. They will not take possession of the body. But Yifixu does not intend to test the humanity of those giant ancestors. Humanity cannot stand the test. Hearing this, Lu Xuanji smiled and said, congratulations, you are staying in the Lu family. Let's go and pay respects to the elder and the clan leader. Okay. Yifixu nodded. Arriving at the cave, she paid respects to the elder and the clan leader. Okay. The elder nodded. Xiaoxu, I feel relieved to have you in the Lu family. The clan leader also said, Xiaoxu is innocent and lively. Xuanji, you must protect her. I will. Lu Xuanji said. Xiaoxu, from today on you will be Xuanji's Taoist partner. On the road of cultivation, only by relying on each other can we go far. The great elder said, cultivation sects are essentially the union of many cultivation families. For example, the Danyang sect is composed of the three major families of the Yi family, the Ming family, the Zhao family, and several small families. They come together for common interests, and there are constant internal struggles and factions. To join the Danyang sect, you must take sides, otherwise you won't go far. Cultivation families are mainly based on blood. The smallest family has only a dozen cultivators, and the largest has just over 1,000. Because there are few people and little power, there are fewer troubles, and they are relatively united with each other. As for independent cultivators, they mainly travel in groups of 3 or 5. There are often some large sects or cultivation families that are destroyed and become independent cultivators. There are also some independent cultivators who form families and become cultivation families. Similarly, some cultivation families, when their power expands to a certain extent, become cultivation sects. Only when you and your wife are of one mind can you go further. I will. Yifixu said. Clan leader, I understand. Lu Xuanji nodded. The clan leader was happy. At this moment, a harsh sound rang out, and along with the harsh sound, a series of short and nervous sounds rang out. Chirp. Along with the sound, the great formation surrounding Xiang Mountain began to operate, and runes rose up in the void. These runes were fluctuating and changing, emitting purple, constantly gathering together, and turning into a light shield that completely enveloped Xiang Mountain. Bang bang. At this moment, a ray of destructive light hit Xiang Mountain, and the tide of destruction came one after another. Xiang Mountain was shaking, and the cave was also shaking. Boom boom boom. The earth was shaking. Lu Xuanji shook his body, stood firm, and asked, Patriarch, what happened? Sure enough, what was supposed to happen has finally happened. Someone has attacked my Lu family. The Patriarch said, with a ruthless look in his eyes. They gave up the test and directly attacked my Xiang Mountain. They are going to take ruthless action against my Xiang Mountain. Lu Xuanji said, we have paid tribute to the Danyang sect. Aren't those families afraid of the Danyang sect's punishment? Those families will not take action, but some black gloves and some independent cultivators will. The Patriarch said, Xuanji, I'm going outside. You have to be careful. If things are impossible, remember to run away. As he said that, the Patriarch disappeared. The elder also disappeared soon after. Lu Xuanji's mood became gloomy. The worst thing still happened. Not to mention, whether the Danyang sect will take revenge. Even if the Danyang sect takes revenge afterwards, what's the use of revenge if the person is dead? Quick, prepare for the worst. Lu Xuanji said, pulling Yifixu away, making the worst plan. Boom boom boom. A group of cultivators appeared at the foot of Xiang Mountain. There were only 30 of them, but all of them were in the foundation building stage. Among them, the leading cultivator exuded a terrifying aura, and was already a great cultivator of the Purple Mansion. Scorching Sun Heavenly Fire. The Purple Mansion cultivator activated the alchemy furnace. The furnace was changing, and became 10 feet high. The dragon and tiger carvings on it were flashing brightly, as if they were about to come back to life. The runes in the furnace were changing. At the mouth of the furnace, the endless flames became 100 feet long and swept towards Xiang Mountain. Whoosh whoosh. The scorching sun heavenly fire was burning and sweeping over. On Xiang Mountain, the formation rose up. Bump. The energy was colliding and melting. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22, Ancestor Yan Yang. Boom boom boom. The blazing sunfire of several hundred feet in the void constantly impacted the formation, and the formation was about to fall. At the same time, the formation bases of Xiang Mountain were emitting bright light, attracting the spiritual energy in the underground spiritual veins. The spiritual energy was extracted by the formation base and flowed into the formation patterns in various places on the mountain. The formation patterns started to operate like rippling water waves, one after another. Terrifying auras were constantly rising, constantly fluctuating and changing, and gathered in the void to form terrifying energy shields, wrapping Xiang Mountain into supreme defense. In Xiang Mountain, Foundation building monks and key training monks made seals one after another, activating the formation platform in the cave, turning it into the fulcrum of the formation, and supporting the operation of the formation. In Xiang Mountain, each cave is a formation node. At ordinary times, the monks sit in the cave, extracting the spiritual energy in the spirit cave to improve their cultivation. But when the enemy invaded, the cultivators only needed to return to the cave and activate the array platform in the cave to activate the power of the mountain protection array. The more cultivators there were, the stronger the power of the mountain protection array would be, and the more difficult it would be to break through. At this moment, there were about 1,000 cultivators on Xiang Mountain, and 8 foundation building cultivators were sitting in the cave, activating the array platform, and activating the power of the array to the extreme. Under such a mountain protection array, not to mention the purple mansion cultivators, even the golden elixir cultivators could resist 1 or 2. Boom boom boom. The scorching sun fire continued to burn and roll in, vowing to break through Xiang Mountain. But the array was running, and it resisted the attack of the scorching sun fire. Especially the mountain protection formation is built on the mountain, the formation pattern is engraved on the mountain, and the formation base is built on the spiritual vein. It can mobilize the power of heaven and earth to protect the mountain. There are only 3 ways to break the formation. One is for the top formation master, to find the flaws of the formation and break it. One is for the cultivator, to rely on his cultivation, to break the formation and break all methods with force. The other is to attack continuously and consume the power of the formation. Boom boom boom. After attacking for a while, Xiang Mountain is still stable. Dao, give up. At this time, a voice came from Xiang Mountain. It was the voice of the clan leader Lu Xianming. Dao, Xiang Mountain has a 3rd grade Xiang formation with strong protection. Dao's 3rd level cultivation of Zifu can't break it. I don't know how my Lu family offended Dao. If my Lu family is wrong, I apologize here to Dao. Lu Xianming's voice was calm and cold. Apologize. The Taoist in grey put away the alchemy furnace and said coldly, if apologies are useful, then what's the point of practicing? As for what your Lu family did, others dare not say, but I, an old Taoist, want to say a few words. Your Lu family dominates Qingshu County with a purple mansion ancestor in the family. You don't know how to be kind to others. Instead, you bully independent cultivators everywhere, bully the market, and your disciples are domineering and have no respect for rules. Many cultivators complain and hate your Lu family. It's a pity that the Lu family is too strong. An ancestor of the 8th level of Purple Mansion cannot be defeated by outsiders. The Lu family is extremely protective of their shortcomings. They help their relatives, but not the outsiders. When encountering problems, no matter whether they are right or wrong, they will just beat them rudely. Of course, whether the Lu family is domineering, bullying independent cultivators, or bullying weak families, as long as they don't provoke me, I'm too lazy to enforce justice. Unfortunately, I went to your Lu family market to buy elixirs, but I was chased by your Lu family cultivators less than 10 miles away from the gate. Your Lu family is really shameless. The shopkeepers killed customers. Your Lu family is really awesome. Poor. My Taoist partner was killed by your Lu family in order to protect me. After I escaped, I vowed to destroy your Lu family. If your Lu family had always been strong, I would have injured it, but God opened his eyes and your Lu family ancestor was seriously injured and might have passed away. The old Taoist just killed the Lu family and wiped out your entire Lu family. The grey-clothed Taoist sneered, murderous. Back then, he was just a junior at the 4th level of key training. After escaping by chance, he vowed to destroy the Lu family and avenge his Taoist partner. Finally, the opportunity came. Dao, every family has unscrupulous people and some scum. You can't just throw away a pot of chicken soup because of a few flies. Lu Xianming advised. For the scum, our Lu family will punish them severely and kill them as soon as we find them. More than 10 years ago, 3 foundation building cultivators violated the family rules and were killed by the ancestor. Here, I don't want to make any excuses. I just want to say that the ancestor wanted to kill people, and there must be a perpetrator for the wrong. Kill that cultivator to make amends, and don't implicate the Lu family. I don't want to make any excuses here. I just want to compensate you a little. The patriarch said. His tone was very humble. The Taoist in Grace sneered. The Lu family is despicable and shameless. Now that the Purple Mansion ancestor is gone, and I have come to their door, they humbly admit their mistakes. But if I were just a key training cultivator, and came to seek justice, would you admit your mistakes with a smile? Not at all. You would only say, that the evil creature slandered my Lu family, and then destroy me with a sword. As for more than 10 years ago, that old thing severely punished the family cultivators and even killed 3 foundation building cultivators just to fool the children. Old dog of the Lu family, look whose head this is. The Taoist in grey was slightly angry, opened the storage bag, and held the head high in his hand. Look, this is the head of Lu Xuanji. The old dog of the Lu family talked about killing relatives for the sake of justice, and said that he did things openly and above board, but it was all fooling children. At that time, Lu Xuanji was not killed, but was expelled from the family, and went to the outer county, to act as the black glove of the Lu family, doing some dirty work for the Lu family. This is the justice of the Lu family. The Lu family's killing relatives for the sake of justice is despised. That's fake. You are slandering my Lu family. Lu Xianming looked at the head, his arm shaking. Lu Xuanji is dead. This time, he is really dead. Unlike the last time, he pretended to die. But all this cannot be admitted. Absolutely cannot be admitted. Once admitted, the Lu family will fall into a moral crisis. Once the Lu family itself is unstable and its foundation is not solid, the Lu family will fall into ideological confusion, civil strife, and fall into a mess. The Lu family doesn't admit it? It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. I'm here with a head on my head, so I don't expect your Lu family to admit it. As long as I have a clear conscience, it's enough. The grey-clothed Taoist looked at Xiang Mountain and sneered. We cultivators don't seek immortality, but we seek to have clear thoughts and a happy mood. If you don't take revenge, fear the enemy, and hold yourself back, it's better not to practice immortality like this. As for your Lu family, only the old dog Lu Fuming has some skills. The rest of the group of people are all flycatchers. They can't be good people, and they can't be bad people thoroughly. They have more scheming than bravery. Even if the Lu family spends a lot of money to buy 2 pieces of Xiang Jade, they can't even think of entering the Purple Mansion realm. The old Taoist has been tossing for a long time, but the old dog Lu Fuming hasn't appeared. It seems that he has passed away. The old Taoist just wants to destroy the Lu family. As he said, the old Taoist activated the alchemy furnace again, and the Yan'ang skyfire turned into a billowing flame that swept towards Xiang Mountain. Chapter 23. Taoist priest comes for revenge. Is what he said true? Yi Fixu asked in the cave. She seemed to have an inexplicable uneasiness in her heart. Lu Xuanji could say righteously that the old Taoist was talking nonsense and slandering. But the moment he opened his mouth, he said, "It's true. I don't want to deceive you. What he said is true. The Lu family has done a lot of dirty and despicable things, almost like evil." Lu Xuanji said, "As long as there are more people, there will be more contradictions. There are 1,000 people, all kinds of people, good people and bad people. Originally, this is nothing. As long as the family rules are upright, and the family style is upright, as long as the clan leader enforces the law strictly, the evil in people's hearts can still be suppressed, and the family can still become generally healthy. It's a pity that the ancestor is not upright, so how can we expect the people below to be honest, and the family style is completely corrupted. This is also the drawback of family cultivation. The ancestor Lu Fuming was not upright in the first place. More than 10 years ago, at that meeting, he seemed to be righteous and killed 3 foundation building cultivators directly. It can be regarded as a cruel method, but it was a trick. On the surface, he killed people, but in secret, he let them go. It seemed that he intimidated the clan members on one hand and was affectionate and righteous on the other. But there is no such thing as the best of both worlds. Instead, it encouraged the evil winds in the clan. The family style was corrupted, which led to the disaster of extermination. There are only 10,000-year-old sects in the world, but there are no 10,000-year-old families of cultivation. Relying on blood and relatives to maintain, it will not last long after all. In the previous life, Some relatives had constant conflicts in order to fight for inheritance and to support the elderly, and almost became enemies, not to mention the current cultivation family. Xiaoxu, you are still young, naturally you can't change all this, but when you become Zifu, Jiandan, and become the head of the Lu family, you can try to change all this. Lu Xuanji comforted. Yes, if I'm the head of the clan, I will definitely change the evil winds of the Lu family and establish strict sect rules. Yi Fixu said, her eyes brightened. Keep getting stronger and changing the family. Looking at the passionate little girl, Lu Xuanji was full of envy. A dragon slayer will eventually become an evil dragon. May you still be a young man when you return. May you still be as passionate as a young man 1,000 years later. As long as your heart is not old, you will not be old. Boom boom boom. The battle continued. The scorching sunfire was attacking, and the flames swept everything and drowned everything. It lasted for half an hour. Under the continuous attack, the grey-clothed Taoist was a little tired. He stopped many times and took pills. Daoyao, give up. The clan leader Lu Xianming said, there is a third level formation in Xiang Mountain. Even if Daoyao has the purple mansion cultivation, it can't be broken. The reinforcement of the Yi family, the Wu family, and the Danliang sect are on the way to rescue. The reinforcement will arrive in 2 hours at most. At that time, this will be the place where Daoyao will be buried. The Danliang sect is very particular about rules. Not to mention the purple mansion cultivators, even the golden elixir cultivators must abide by the rules. The Lu family pays tribute to the Danliang sect every year, and the Danliang sect will also rescue the Lu family when the Lu family is attacked. The Lu family, the Yi family, the Wu family, etc. all have marriage relations. They compete with each other for spiritual laws, population, spiritual veins, etc. and often fight with swords, but at the same time, they are allies, fighting against the oppression of the Danliang faction and the invasion of foreign forces. Reinforcement are on the way, and time is on the side of the Lu family. Give up. It's impossible to give up, but the Lu family is about to end, and my test is over. Fellow Daoist, can you find the flaws in the formation? The grey-clothed Taoist looked at the cultivator beside him. This cultivator was only at the 6th level of foundation building, wearing a mask on his face, and was extremely ordinary among many cultivators. The formation of Xiang Mountain is really solid, and has no flaws. Even a Jiandan cultivator needs to attack for 3 hours before breaking through the formation. As for a Zifu cultivator, it is impossible to break through it. The masked cultivator spoke hoarsely, as if to hide his identity. The formation has no flaws, but the people have flaws. If there is a Zifu cultivator, or 10 foundation building cultivators, or a 3rd level formation master, we can't break through it. But the Lu family didn't do anything. The cultivator said, taking out the formation flags, and distributing them to the 20 foundation building cultivators. Under the command of this 3rd level formation master, the 20 foundation building cultivators stood at different corners at the foot of Xiang Mountain, operating the formation flags, using each other as a formation, and inducing the power of the formation. The formation flags in different positions resonated, and made a buzzing sound. As the formation flags resonated, runes rose up one after another, mixed together, and impacted the mountain protection formation of Xiang Mountain. Not good. A trace of worry flashed across the eyes of clan leader Lu Xianming. Array masters are more terrifying than alchemists, weapon refiners, and talisman makers, and are more difficult to get started. When they reach a high level, every move they make has great power. At the foot of Xiang Mountain, the array master took action, and wanted to use the array to break the array. Boom boom boom. The array of Xiang Mountain collided with the array formed by 20 foundation building monks. In a blink of an eye, the array on Xiang suppressed and defeated the temporary array formed by 20 foundation building monks. One relied on the spirit veins to set up the array, and the other relied on the foundation building monks to set up the array. The gap between them was huge. The array master remained calm and continued to command the foundation building monks to attack the large array of Xiang Mountain. Failure. 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 He failed 7 or 8 times in a row, but the duration of each time was increasing. As time went on, the array master was also looking for the flaws of Xiang Mountain. At the 28th time, the formation formed by 20 foundation building monks was dispatched and collided with the mountain protection formation of Xiang Mountain again, as if the mountains and rivers were shaking. At this moment, the originally fierce mountain protection formation suddenly stagnated, and the operation of the formation showed a flaw and a bit of unsmoothness. Without the need for the formation master to remind him, the grey-clothed Taoist's eyes lit up, and he urged the alchemy furnace, and the scorching sun sky fire turned into a 10-foot-long flame, sweeping away and hitting the formation. The shape of the flame shrank from 100 feet to 10 feet, but the power was multiplied. Puff! The flame collided with the formation, and a hole appeared in the formation. Kill! The grey-clothed Taoist shouted, and killed his way in through the hole. At the same moment, 2 foundation building monks entered, and also killed their way in. Not good. At this moment, the clan leader was uneasy and afraid. He took the lead, and intercepted the grey-clothed Taoist. Swish! At the same moment, the clan leader urged the flying sword to stab. The Taoist in grey pointed his finger and the flying sword flew backwards. The clan leader felt sweet in his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The gap between the 9th level of foundation building and the 3rd level of purple mansion is too big, and it is impossible to resist. Kill! At this moment, another flying sword attacked. Another foundation building cultivator of the Lu family took action. Swish! On Xiang Mountain, the 8 foundation building cultivators of the Lu family took action and besieged the Taoist in grey. The purple mansion cultivator was too strong and could not be resisted by the foundation building cultivators. To resist the purple mansion cultivator, 8 people were required, and that was only 10 or even more foundation building cultivators. When quality is insufficient, quantity can only be used to make up for it. The 8 foundation building cultivators of the Lu family, under the joint siege, had a tacit understanding with each other, and for a while the Taoist in grey could not take down the enemy. At the same time, the 2 foundation building cultivators who entered Xiang Mountain also attacked various parts of the Lu family. Chapter 24, Breaking Through Xiang Mountain. Set up the sword formation, siege. A 9th level key training cultivator from the Lu family called out and began to siege the 2 foundation building cultivators. Each foundation building cultivator had to face the siege of 8 or 9 late stage key training cultivators. Bang bang. Boom boom boom. Under the siege of numbers, the 2 foundation building cultivators were quickly injured. Both the grey-robed Taoist and the 2 foundation building cultivators quickly fell into a disadvantage. If it continued for a while, the grey-robed Taoist and the 2 foundation building cultivators might have fallen under the siege. But at this moment, with a large number of Lu family cultivators participating in the siege, the number of cultivators operating the mountain protection formation was greatly reduced, and the power of the mountain protection formation fell again and again. Under the command of the formation master, under continuous attacks, a hole appeared in the mountain protection formation again. 5 more foundation building cultivators rushed in. With the addition of new forces, the Lu family cultivators fell into a disadvantage. The cultivators who entered the mountain continued to attack Xiang Mountain, destroying the terrain and the structure of the mountain. With the destruction of some formation bases, the mountain protection formation shook and completely stopped. Kill! The remaining cultivators completely entered Xiang Mountain. Run! The clan leader Lu Xianming flashed a trace of despair and shouted sternly, "Lu family members, run for your lives." In fact, he didn't need to say that some clan members were also running away. Forget it, I'm guilty. When I was the clan leader, the Lu family suffered a catastrophic disaster. I feel sorry for my ancestors. As he said, a trace of madness flashed in his expression. Fight to the death. He took out a pill and took it directly. This pill is called the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Pill. After taking the pill, Lu Xianming's cultivation of the 9th level of foundation building continued to improve, and he entered the Purple Mansion realm. But at the same time, his blood, true ki, soul, etc. were burning violently. It can only last for 30 seconds at most, and he will die of exhaustion. Some other foundation building elders also took the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Pill, and their cultivation was improving rapidly, and they entered a desperate state. The great elder Lu Xianyi smiled, and was about to take the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Pill to fight desperately. but the clan leader hit his hand with the back of a sword, and the pill fell to the ground. Old 7, you can't die. Breakout. Kill. Lu Xianming flashed a trace of madness, and killed the grey-clothed Taoist. Kill. The other foundation building elders were also crazy, and killed other cultivators. At the moment of the Lu family's demise, the elders of the Lu family burst out, burning their lives to resist the enemy, buying time for the family cultivators to escape. Run. With a flash of his figure, Lu Xuanji took Yi Fixu, and fled for his life, running away into the distance. Not long ago, the Lu family was still the overlord of Qingshu County, with the Purple Mansion Patriarch sitting in charge, and was feared by the world. But now, the Lu family is about to perish, and become a dog without a home. All the Lu family cultivators broke out in different directions. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Using the wind escape technique and the power of the strong wind, Lu Xuanji kept running. At this time, 3 miles away, there was a fire burning in Xiang Mountain, and the killing was continuing, destroying everything. Alas. Sighing, Lu Xuanji began to flee with Yi Fixu. Fortunately, speed is of the essence in war. In order to make the attack sudden, the cultivators who attacked Xiang Mountain were mainly Foundation cultivators and Purple Mansion cultivators, with a total number of only 31. And there were about 1,000 cultivators in Xiang Mountain. There was a great possibility of escaping if they scattered and ran away. These more than 1,000 clansmen were distracting the enemy's attention, and also brought Lu Xuanji a chance to escape. Just thinking about the demise of the Lu family was depressing. If the Lu family was destroyed, many cultivators of the Lu family would become casual cultivators. Many cultivators had poor survival ability, and they lost the protection of their families. They might become cannon fodder for some people, or die in the mouths of monsters. Most of the endings were not good. The life of casual cultivators was unstable, and the mortality rate was too high. Half an hour later, the battle was over. On Xiang Mountain, the mountain protection formation completely collapsed. The formation bases of some important positions have been damaged, and some buildings are seriously damaged. Corpses fell one after another on the ground, one after another. These were all monks of the Lu family. Many monks' bodies were incomplete. The grey-clothed Taoist stood on the top of the mountain, panting slightly. There was a wound on his chest, and there were bloodstains on his Taoist robe. He was panting slightly, and his breath was fluctuating, giving people a sense of weakness. Other monks were also walking around, constantly finishing off the wounds. Many seriously injured Lu family monks were killed one after another. Brother, we killed 532 Lu family monks, including 7 foundation building monks, 125 9th level key training monks, 72 8th level key training monks, and other monks. We also have monks who are seriously injured, and 3 died in battle. A monk stepped forward to report. There are about 1,500 Lu family monks, and there are more than 1,000 monks stationed in Xiang Mountain. More than 500 monks were killed in this battle. But these 500 people are the elite of the Lu family, most of whom are foundation building cultivators, and there are also cultivators in the late stage of key training. In this battle, the elite of the Lu family were all killed, and their vitality was greatly damaged. How was the harvest? Asked the grey-clothed Taoist. The Lu family's medicine garden was not destroyed. The spiritual rice in the spiritual field, the elixirs and spiritual tools in the treasury, etc. are still intact. The cultivator said, these spiritual medicines, elixirs and other things are worth at least 1.2 million spiritual stones. It's just over 1 million spiritual stones, not a lot. The grey-clothed Taoist said. The Lu family cultivators are not the landlords in the countryside, who will save their money. The Lu family makes a lot of money, but they are also good at spending money. The cultivators are all Moonlight clan, and will not store too many spiritual stones. Similarly, the Lu family will not store too many spiritual stones. However, the Lu family is really rich. There are 30 million tons of white yang rice and 30 jade marrow mushrooms in the Lu family's treasury, 2 of which are already mature, and there are other spiritual medicines waiting. The cultivator said with joy in his eyes. Food is the most important thing for cultivators. Baiyang rice is a high quality spiritual rice that can only be planted by cultivators. The yield per mu is only 200 jin. Kigan cultivators need to eat at least 10 jin of Baiyang rice every day. This also means that Kigan cultivators need to plant at least 20 mu of spiritual rice every year to meet their food needs for a year. Bayang rice is a consumable and will never be redundant. As for the jade marrow Ganoderma, it is the main material for refining foundation building pills. One jade marrow Ganoderma is the main material, plus other medicinal materials, and can be refined into 3 to 9 foundation building pills. The bandit cultivator said, jade marrow Ganoderma is the main material for foundation building pills, but it is difficult to take care of. If it is not taken care of properly, it may die. Only those big families have the ability to cultivate high-grade spiritual plants and plant jade marrow Ganoderma on a large scale. According to the number and maturity time of jade marrow Ganoderma, the Lu family can open the furnace once every 20 years to refine 2 furnaces of foundation building pills, 1 part for the family cultivators and 1 part for outsiders. The grey-clothed Taoist asked, can it be transplanted? No, once the jade marrow Ganoderma takes root somewhere, it cannot be transplanted. Once transplanted, it will die due to acclimatization. The cultivator said, the Lu family is smart. They left white yang rice and shawl Sydney for us. The grey-robed Taoist sighed. During the fierce battle, the bandits subconsciously avoided some medicine gardens and treasuries to avoid property losses in the battle, but the Lu family monks were also smart. They did not go forward to destroy the medicine gardens, spiritual rice, other property, etc., and deliberately left them to the bandits. The Lu family did not destroy these, not because the Lu family monks did not know, but to use these property to attract the attention of the bandits and give the family monks a chance to escape. This is indeed the case. When the mountain gate was breached, some of the bandits used them to strangle the Lu family's foundation building monks and the Lu family's late stage key training monks, and some took the opportunity to harvest the medicine gardens and control the warehouses, library and other areas. The intensity of the pursuit of the Lu family monks who escaped was relatively slowed down. Chapter 25. The destruction of the Lu family. Many cultivators were looting, taking away all kinds of valuable things. Looking at the immature chalcedony mushrooms, a bandit cultivator would chop up the immature chalcedony mushrooms. If you can't take them away, don't leave them to the enemy. The grey-robed Taoist stopped them and said, don't damage them, just leave them where they are. Senior, why is that? The bandit cultivator was puzzled. Don't understand? It's easy to understand. The grey-robed Taoist said, the Lu family cultivators didn't damage some medicine gardens, spiritual fields, etc., in order to use these treasures to delay us and give the family disciples a chance to escape. Similarly, we can't damage the spiritual veins, we can't damage the spiritual fields, and we have to use these treasures to delay the Lu family's reinforcement. How long will the reinforcement be from here? About an hour. A cultivator answered. But with these treasures to delay, we can only buy us at least an hour and a half. The grey-robed Taoist said, even if the Dandayang faction's reinforcement recover these lost territories, will they return them to the Lu family? Everyone suddenly realized, returning them to the Lu family is impossible. If the Lu family was strong, the Purple Mansion Patriarch would be in charge. Dandayang sent reinforcement, accepted some gifts, and left. But after this battle, the Lu family suffered a heavy blow, and there were less than 4 remaining foundation building cultivators, and most of the remaining cultivators were low-level cultivators. After the Dandayang sect regained the lost land, would it repay? Impossible. Even if the Dandayang sect had outstanding character and emphasized morality, and returned Xiang Mountain to the Lu family, with the current power of the Lu family, would they dare to accept it? No. And they would not. A man is innocent, but he is guilty of possessing a treasure. Having money is not a crime, but having money without strength is a big crime. After a while, the bandits left. Before leaving, according to the previous agreement, they quickly divided the spoils, and then left. Before participating in this operation, everyone wore masks. When robbing the Lu family, one looked like a robber, but when taking off the mask, they were well-dressed righteous cultivators. Just dividing a part of the property, the grey-clothed Taoist left. 2 hours later, the Yi family's reinforcement arrived. The flying bird warship landed on Xiang Mountain, carrying the Yi family's ancestor, Yi Liuan. This Yi family ancestor was a 3rd level Purple Mansion cultivator. He was able to enter the Purple Mansion realm thanks to the help of the Lu family. After hearing the news that Xiang Mountain was besieged, he immediately set out in person and brought the family's 6 foundation building cultivators to rescue, but he was still a step too late. The Lu family was completely destroyed, and only the corpses lay on Xiang Mountain. Lu family, what a pity. Yi Liuan felt sad and happy. The sad thing was that after the Lu family ancestor passed away, the Lu family was besieged by powerful enemies, and this family, that had lasted for 1,000 years, was doomed. In the future, when he passed away, when there was a shortage of successors, the Yi family might also be doomed. As the saying goes, when a rabbit dies, a fox mourns, and animals feel sad for their own kind. Fortunately, with the rise of the Yi family and the Lu family had conflicts in some spiritual veins and minds. In the end, most of them were resolved through coordination, and no major war broke out. However, the contradictions between them still existed, which was a fight without breaking. The Lu family was destroyed, leaving some cakes, and the Yi family could also have a few bites. 2 hours later, the warships of the Danliang school appeared. The Purple Mansion patriarch of the Danliang school said, "It's a pity that we are still late." 2.5 hours later, the warships of the Wu family appeared. On Xiang Mountain, the Lu family lineage was destroyed, but there are still some monks stationed outside. Those monks are just rebuilding the Lu family. Yi Liuan said. That's right. The monk of the Danliang school said. The Lu family should be rebuilt. The monk of the Wu family also said. But how much sincerity and how much pretense, only God knows. After walking 100 miles, the grey-robed Taoist took off his mask, took off his grey robe, and changed into a red Taoist robe. Walking and walking, they arrived at a small mountain village. There is a grave on the back of the mountain village. On it stands a tombstone that reads, "Tomb of my late wife Linger." He took out a pot of wine and poured some of it in front of the grave. The Taoist took another sip of wine and said, "Linger, I have avenged you. Not long ago, the Lu family was wiped out by me, and more than 500 cultivators of the Lu family were all killed by me. Haha, wasn't that Lu family cultivator arrogant back then? Not only did he want to kill me, but he also wanted to abduct you as a female slave. How arrogant he was in the past, how pitiful he is now. Kill, kill, kill. It feels so refreshing to kill your enemies. But it's still not enough. The Lu family still has cultivators stationed in some spiritual veins, or minerals, or markets. There are also 5 foundation building cultivators who happen to be not in Xiang Mountain, and escaped the disaster. But how could I leave these scourges behind, and let the Lu family revive? I will kill the remaining foundation building cultivators of the Lu family, as well as most of the key training cultivators. As for the 2 million mortals in the Lu family's jurisdiction, I can only forget about it. A trace of sadness flashed across the Taoist. If he exterminated the Lu family, at most he would be not tolerated by the Danliang sect, and would be hunted down by the Danliang sect. The worst result would be to leave the Chu state and go to other cultivation countries, where he would still be free and unfettered. As the saying goes, if I'm not welcome here, I will go somewhere else. But if he massacred mortals on a large scale, he would be labeled as a demon cultivator, and no one in heaven or on earth would tolerate him. Lu family. The Taoist figure flashed and went to a Lu family market. In that market, there was a Lu family foundation building cultivator sitting in charge. Whoosh, whoosh, running in the mountains. Lu Xuanji took Yifixu and ran away, fearing that they would be caught up by the enemy. There was a scream behind him, and the Lu family cultivator was killed on the spot because he ran slowly. Lu Xuanji did not stop, did not look back, and just ran away. Many times, you don't need to run faster than the enemy, just run faster than your teammates. There were foundation building monks chasing him from behind. Lu Xuanji didn't need to run faster than the foundation building monks, he just needed to run a little faster than the other monks. The Lu family monks who were fleeing for their lives scattered and fled like sparrows. The foundation building monks were very powerful, and their flying swords flashed, chasing them continuously. But when they chased them for 30 miles, they gave up the pursuit and returned directly to Xiang Mountain. Chasing these ants would not yield much, and it would take a lot of time. there would be no more gains from plundering some treasure houses in Xiang Mountain, or plundering some spiritual medicines from the medicine garden. Xuanji stopped when the flying talisman ran out of energy. Looking back, there was no one. There were no foundation building monks chasing him, and no Lu family monks. We survived, Xuanji said, breathing a sigh of relief, lying on the ground in a very unpresentable manner, and he didn't seem to care about the dust on his clothes. Brother, the Lu family is finished, Yifixu said, as if she was dreaming. Just yesterday, the Lu family was still the overlord of Qingshu County, with a purple mansion ancestor and more than a dozen foundation building cultivators, but today, Xiang Mountain was breached, and most of the Lu family cultivators were killed. Yes, the Lu family is finished, but we have to live, Xuanji said. What do you think we should do next? It seemed that he was asking Yifixu, but also asking himself. There are only 3 paths for cultivators. One is to join a cultivation sect. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.